Good afternoon and welcome to today's New York City Council hearing for the Committee on Economics. At this time, I would like to remind everyone to silence all electronic devices. Also, at this point, going forward, no one is approaching the dais. Chair, we are ready to begin.
Good morning and welcome to this hearing of the New York City Council's Committee on Economic Development. Today is Friday, February 27th, and I am Council Member Virginia Maloney. I have the privilege of serving as the chair of this committee. I want to thank the former chair, Councilmember Amanda Farias, for her excellent leadership of the committee during the last session, and also recognize my colleagues present here today, Council Members Kevin Riley and Councilmember Chanel Thomas Henry. This is the first hearing of the Committee on Economic Development this term, and it's fitting that we begin with an event of this scale and magnitude, the 2026 FIFA World Cup. In just a few months, the eyes of the world will turn to our region as MetLife Stadium hosts 8 matches, including the final. The New York-New Jersey Host Committee projects that this will bring $3.3 billion in economic impact, 1.2 million visitors, and more than $430 million in state and local tax revenue. New York City is already the global capital of commerce, culture, finance, and media, and the World Cup presents an opportunity to demonstrate at scale why we remain the best city in the world to host events of global consequence and to strengthen that position for the future. If executed well, this tournament will not only bring visitors to our hotels, restaurants, and small businesses, it will reinforce New York's position as the premier host city for global events, including future opportunities. The way we perform in 2026 will shape how the world evaluates our readiness for decades to come. This committee's responsibility is clear: to ensure that this moment of global attention translates into lasting economic benefit for New Yorkers. Today, we will hear from representatives from Nycc EDC, the World Cup czar, Maya Handa, New York City Tourism, A Better New York, Manhattan Chamber of Commerce, HTC, New York City Hospitality Alliance, and the Hotel Association of New York, and other key stakeholders involved in planning and coordination. Let me begin first with looking at the city's investment. Last year, the Adams administration allocated $14 million to Nycc EDC for World Cup promotional events and related expenditures. In fiscal year 27 preliminary budget that was released this month, the Mondami administration added another $15 million to EDC, bringing total EDC World Cup funding to $29 million. The administration also added $4.5 million to NYC Tourism and Conventions for World Cup marketing. So that represents nearly $34 million in city tax dollars that are tied to this event. New Yorkers should be ambitious, but also precise about the expected impact of each dollar. So today we'd like to understand how those funds are allocated and structured. Next is transportation and regional coordination. While the matches will take place in MetLife Stadium in East Rutherford, New Jersey, New York City is still going to be the primary gateway for hundreds of thousands of fans that are moving through the region. Large-scale events in the past have shown that seamless transportation planning is essential to protecting both visitor experience as well as our city's reputation. So coordination and contingency planning are going to be very important. Then there is the broader question of economic participation. The World Cup should strengthen the entire ecosystem of New York City's economy, from major hospitality providers to small neighborhood businesses, from cultural institutions to commercial corridors across all 5 boroughs. Restaurants, retailers, and service providers will feel the effects of increased demand, and our hotels will play a critical role in hosting international visitors. The Hotel and Gaming Trades Council contract expires on July 1st during the tournament period, and will need to ensure contingency plans are in place to ensure operational security. Beyond short-term visitor spending, this moment should position New York City for sustained economic growth. So we should understand how the city is leveraging global visibility to cultivate long-term business relationships, investment opportunities, and job creation. There is the question of accessibility and public experience. Ticket prices range from $1,000 to $3,000 on the official FIFA resale marketplace. And while the city does not control FIFA's ticketing and stadium operations policies, we're making a public investment here in the broader World Cup experience. So it's important to understand what publicly accessible programming will be available to New Yorkers, including free fan events, watch parties, and community activations, so that this tournament feels inclusive and reflective of the diverse communities that call our city home. Finally, we must consider external risk factors. I want to raise a concern regarding the federal travel ban, which currently affects nationals of 39 countries, some of whom have teams competing in the World Cup. International arrivals to the United States were already projected to decline by more than 6% last year, and the host committee's projected $3.3 billion of economic impact assumes that we still have strong visitor turnout. If that attendance does not materialize, the return on investment would be significantly affected. In closing, I want to recognize the Economic Development Committee staff for their hard work in preparing for today's hearing. Thank you to Senior Counsel Alex Polinoff, Senior Policy Analyst William Hongak, and Financial Analyst Spencer Kuhn. Our role today is to ensure that planning matches the goal and that the World Cup will be a moment where New York City shows the world what we do best. I'll now turn to the committee counsel to administer the oath.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Alex Polinoff, Senior Counsel. Will all members of the administration testifying today please raise your right hands? Do you swear or affirm to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth in your testimony today, and to respond honestly to council member questions? Thank you. You may begin when ready.
Is this working? Yes. Good afternoon, Chair Maloney and members of the Committee on Economic Development. My name is Maya Honda, and I serve as the Mayor's World Cup Czar. This role exists for a simple reason. A tournament of this scale only goes well if city agencies, mayoral offices, and outside partners are working in close coordination early, with clear responsibilities and clear communication to the public. The World Cup will not be felt only inside of a stadium. It will be felt on subway platforms, on buses, on sidewalks, in parks, and on neighborhood commercial corridors across all 5 boroughs. Our job is to keep the city functioning during a period of intense demand while also making sure that New Yorkers can participate in and benefit from what is happening. Though I was only appointed a few weeks ago, the talented public servants at our city agencies have been convening regular working sessions for almost 2 years across the agencies and mayoral offices that will be central to this effort, including transportation, public safety, emergency management, sanitation, parks and public space, accessibility, tourism, economic development, and communications. We are clarifying roles, setting timelines, and doing the practical coordination needed to prepare early rather than scramble late. That includes advanced planning and on-the-ground coordination so we can spot challenges early and make adjustments well before the busiest days. Besides advance and contingency planning, our World Cup team is responsible for pulling together and executing on the mayor's vision for a vibrant, joyful celebration that is accessible to every New Yorker. The mayor looks forward to announcing more specifics related to his World Cup plans in the coming weeks. I am also in regular communication with FIFA and the regional host planning effort, the host committee. A tournament like this stretches across jurisdictions, and good coordination helps reduce confusion and disruption for the public. Our focus is straightforward: clear information, steady operations, and a public experience that feels predictable and manageable. Language access and accessibility are part of that work from the start. This is also a tremendous economic opportunity for New York City. Following the successful bid to have New York, New Jersey selected as a World Cup host, the New York City Economic Development Corporation supported NYC Tourism and Conventions in the effort to bring the final match to our region. According to the host committee, hosting 8 matches is projected to generate $3.3 billion in economic impact across the region. Our responsibility now is to help make sure that this global event delivers real civic and economic value here in New York City, especially for working-class New Yorkers and for neighborhoods beyond the match venue. EDC is supporting that effort in several ways. First, it is using city-connected assets to help promote community-focused activities and build excitement citywide. Host committee materials have been and will continue to be featured across high-visibility assets that reach residents and visitors alike. Second, EDC is evaluating a range of sites across the city that may be able to support fan and community activations. And third, EDC is preparing for the business side of the World Cup. Delegations from around the world will be in New York during the tournament, and that creates a real opportunity to show that New York City is open for business and remains a strong place to invest, grow, and hire. EDC's business development team is preparing to meet with visiting companies and participate in related events tied to that work. Tourism is another major piece of the picture. The World Cup is a major draw on its own, but our goal is not simply to welcome people for a match and send them home. Our goal is to encourage visitors to stay longer, spend money across all 5 boroughs, and leave with a reason to come back. From the tourism side, the strategy is centered on 3 outcomes: lengthening visitor stays, increasing and dispersing spending across all 5 boroughs, and converting first-time visitors into repeat travelers. All of that matters because tourism is not a side issue in New York City's economy. It supports hotel workers, restaurant workers, retail workers, cultural institutions, transportation workers, and thousands of small business owners. When the city markets itself well during a global event, that has real consequences for jobs, tax revenue, and neighborhood commercial life. At the same time, we are planning with New Yorkers in mind. Big global events can too easily become something that feels designed only for visitors while residents absorb the inconvenience. Our goal is a World Cup that feels accessible to New Yorkers across the city: families, young people, seniors, working people, and community in every borough. That means thinking seriously about public space, neighborhood participation, and how local businesses and workers have a fair shot at benefiting from the global moment happening here. Listening has also been a big part of this job. Our World Cup team has been meeting with community partners, small businesses, bids, cultural institutions, disability advocates, and other stakeholders. The questions are direct and practical. Will my commute be manageable? Will my neighborhood be included? Will this feel safe? Will local businesses and workers benefit? That feedback is shaping how we plan, coordinate, and communicate. The World Cup is also a chance to show who New York is. This is a city of real soccer communities, of supporters groups, pickup games, immigrant families, and neighborhoods where the sport is bound up with memory, identity, and pride. If we do this well, people will see more than matches. They will see New Yorkers' love of the game, the pride people carry in their countries and their heritage, and the way this city can hold all of that at once. Thank you for the opportunity to testify today. I'm happy to answer your questions.
Thank you so much for that great overview, and we share a lot of the same concerns and priorities, so I appreciate the opening statement. I want to jump right into the city investment. The 6 million in fiscal year 2025 and 14 million in fiscal year 2026 went to EDC for the World Cup, and then added an additional 15 million, bringing the total to about 35 million. So can we dive into a breakdown of how that money is being allocated across events, transportation, security, and any other categories that come to mind?
Yes, thank you for the question, and good afternoon. Just want to start off big picture. We at EDC, along with the city, are just incredibly excited. We share the same feelings that
The microphone.
sorry. Oh, closer, got it, okay. We share the excitement that the World Cup is truly a once-in-a-generation opportunity to bring economic opportunity to New York City. As you mentioned before, a $3.3 billion economic impact across the city of New York and the broader metropolitan area. It's a chance for us to showcase our neighborhoods, our communities, our cultures. It's also an opportunity to really bring the World Cup to New Yorkers, not just have the World Cup happen to New Yorkers and to the city. And it's also really a chance to show and promote New York City to all the businesses who are going to be here over the course of the month and a half, that New York is open for business, and we want them to open here, create jobs, etc. So to answer your question more directly, so $35 million, I'm going to break it up into 2 different sections. So the first section is $20 million. That $20 million has been allocated for the use of the host committee. That money is being used for a variety of things as it relates to promotional activities, logistics around transportation, kind of getting things organized the lead up and during the World Cup itself. And that money was allocated between fiscal year 25 and fiscal year 26. The second chunk of money is $15 million. That is the amount of money that was recently allocated as part of the January plan. And that money is going under final consideration by City Hall to determine how to best use that funding. And there'll be more details to be shared on that later.
Do we have more visibility into how that 15 million will be allocated, or if not, what date do you expect to have more information?
I don't have a date to share at this moment, but of course, we have to get back with you on that.
And on the 20 million that's allocated to the host committee, how much oversight does EDC and the czar have on how that money has been spent and how much has already been spent to date?
Yeah, so the way the process works is the money is not fronted to the host committee. They have to show receipts to the city, specifically EDC, and then once EDC reviews those receipts, those are then EDC serves as a pass-through to send the funding over to the host committee.
And do we have a sense of how much has already been
Sorry,
spent?
yes, I believe the $20 million has been spent at this point.
On funding, I believe that the city funding ends on June 30th, but the World Cup extends until July 19th. So how does that affect EDC and the czar's capability to market, operate fan events, and ensure community engagement in that second half of the tournament?
Yeah, fair question. We want to make sure that there is activities and funding that will celebrate the World Cup from the start to the end. So a lot of the invoices and receipts that will come in as it relates to it are things that are paid in advance that will cover through the cost of the two periods, even though it cuts between 2 fiscal years.
In the case of the 20 million that's been spent by the host committee, does that mean the receipts have been already reimbursed by EDC thus far? And so do you have a sense of what the breakdown is from those receipts?
Yeah, I don't have that with me,
All right,
but
we'll
we're
follow
happy to put that together and share it with you guys.
The original 20 million that was allocated under the Adams administration, how involved was the Mondami administration in reviewing and revising the spending plan? Or are you executing primarily on the original plan that was put in place?
That 20 million was, I believe, allocated and spent under the Adams
before.
administration. So the current 15 million is undergoing our review.
Great. I'm going to shift gears and talk about the return on investment that we expect. So specifically, what is the projected increase in revenue for small businesses across the 5 boroughs?
So again, see this as a massive economic development opportunity for the city more broadly. Thus far, we've really been using the analysis that was done by Tourism Economics, which is a third-party organization that was hired by the host committee. That's the $3.3 billion that you referenced before. It's the 1.2 million tourists or visitors who will be coming into the city. I am not an economist, but the economists that work for EDC have told me that it can be challenging to try to disaggregate information between jurisdictions and get more finite information because the data will become very noisy. And so what we do know is that $3.3 billion is a huge amount of money, and that we know that people are going to be coming to New York City, where they'll be booking hotel rooms. They will be organizing events all across the city. People will be visiting the 5 boroughs, using resources that the city will produce to help make sure people go across the entire city, spend money at restaurants, cultural institutions, small businesses, etc.
Did EDC do any internal validation of the number to independently support it?
I'll have to double check that. I'm not sure. We can get back to you on that.
And one other question on revenue is, has EDC worked to create any additional sponsorship revenue to help fund some of the CUP activities?
So as part of the responsibility of the host committee, they are responsible for doing fundraising more broadly to do the various activities across the city, including the events, the fan zones, etc. So EDC specifically has not participated in that.
Will we have a sense of what percentage of the 35 million is going towards these free, publicly accessible events that we both prioritize or want to prioritize?
Yes, we can get back to you on that, but the intention very much is for our investment as a city to support both, free and accessible public programming, but also sort of activities that will promote, tourism in the 5 boroughs, support small businesses, and so on. So,
Do we have additional information on what events to expect? And if not, when would we have more details?
it's a great question. So I actually want to point to the administration's hosting of the AFCON final as a really good example of the ethos with which we want to approach the kind of programming that will benefit New Yorkers. So the mayor very much understands that, 8 million people in New York should be celebrating the World Cup, experiencing it, not just the few who can buy tickets. And so our intention is to have affordable and accessible programming across the 5 boroughs. In particular, we want to support community watch parties that are hosted by bids and community-based organizations. And so part of what we are considering is how we can best support them with resources, support them in getting viewing licenses, support them in ensuring that they can create safe and joyful events for New Yorkers across the 5 boroughs. And the mayor is very, very excited to announce more specifics around his plan in the coming weeks.
Looking forward to that. Looking forward to more details. One more question on the budget, and then I'll pass to my colleague, Councilmember Riley. The fiscal 27 budget added $4.5 million for NYC tourism. So how is NYC tourism coordinating with the host committee and EDC, and what are the distribution of responsibilities between those different agencies?
Thank you for the question. We're very excited because we have no shortage of product in New York City and experiences, and that's one of the reasons we were chosen as the host of the finals in particular. What we were lacking were the media dollars to reach the right travelers who would be more apt to visit those experiences throughout the boroughs. So the lion's share of the investment is going toward media, but largely digital, and then streaming TV through a partnership that we are looking to establish with Telemundo in Spanish and NBC New York, which would give us both regional exposure as well as national in key domestic feeder markets. So we are breaking the spend down. We learned that we were receiving this money last week, so we're actively planning now. We're looking at it in layers and phases. We want to make sure we're inspiring people to know what's happening throughout the tournament. We also want to get them navigating the city while we're here, and there are a variety of ways we're doing that, and then also create a longer tail so that we can, in fact, retarget those folks. We don't want to just sort of spend it and we're done in July. We're going to be taking the lion's share of the effort to create a data bank that then we can retarget these very high intent travelers for the next couple of years. Through digital, we're able to really target very surgically with people that are showing intent to travel to New York City this summer, those who tend to travel for sports, who travel for big events. So we're getting a ripe target, and then we're breaking that down against our key international markets that are typical high market, high volume markets in spend and visitation internationally. Even if they're not coming for World Cup, it's another touch point to those high value travelers. Long haul domestic as well. Even those cities that also have their own matches like San Francisco and LA, because high volume comes from those cities. We also know that folks in Philly and Boston, this is not a typical World Cup. As you know, there's not a playbook for the flow of traffic, but we know that in the group stage matches happening in Boston just prior to New York, some of those teams may be coming to New York following Boston. So we're hoping to get the connectivity advantage as well. So fair amount of domestic long haul, and then very heavy regional and local. We want to make sure we're blanketing the city. We do have an allocation of out-of-home media through our city contract with JCDecaux, which we're fully leveraging that. But also, we want to purchase additional out-of-home taxi tops, airport media. So we want to make sure we're displaying welcome. And all of the traffic we drive to our website is going to a landing page where a calendar will be featured for all the small businesses that would like to participate and commemorate World Cup can submit their events and offers, and we will be lifting that up. So I would say the majority of the money, let's say 3.5 to 4, is going toward media in those categories. We'll have some for content creation, and we're looking to employ influencers and creators both here and out of the market. The NBC partnership, again, that'll be on Telemundo as well as New York Live. And a toolkit that we will develop for local businesses as well, which may have things like window decals, but also design templates that they can use just to make it a little bit easier to follow our campaign, which is called Where the World Comes to Play. And we had been running that internationally, and then we're just extending that into the World Cup, and we'll look forward to showing you what that looks like.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Councilmember Riley.
Thank you so much, Chair Maloney. I'm looking forward to your leadership within this new committee. Good afternoon. You shared something very inspirational when you're saying that this is a once in a lifetime opportunity for New York City. And I'm kind of looking past that because I want opportunities like this to come to New York more. So I wanted to kind of talk about the economic impact that it's going to have on small businesses. Are there any benchmarks that you guys kind of have to kind of justify or see how the revenue is going to benefit a lot of the small businesses in the outer boroughs?
I don't have any of that data at the tip of my fingers right now, but happy to circle back with you and see if we can provide you something. I would say also just more broadly, do share the feeling that this is a once in a lifetime opportunity, and this will lead to other opportunities for the city to host big events like this. One of the things that EDC in the city is doing, which of course you're well aware of, is the NYCFC Stadium in Queens. We're very excited that during the Olympics in 2028, group stages are going to be taking place at that stadium. And that's going to be another opportunity where we get to kind of play back this playbook from the World Cup in a bit of a smaller scale, but nonetheless, we'll have people in New York City, and it'll be a chance for them to go out and shop at our local businesses, go to cultural institutions, etc.
Thank you. I'm looking forward to that data. Will there be procurement goals for MWBEs and local vendors tied to specifically World Cup related contracts?
Yeah, I can take a crack at it from an EDC perspective. So we always have MWBE goals with our work. To give you some benchmarking information, if that's helpful, is when you look at our assets, our real estate assets, and that's where we're working very closely with the Czar and her team as she and the team kind of consider what is the broader portfolio of assets the city will be looking to activate, including EDC ones. For EDC assets this past year, about 36% of our spend went to MWB businesses, and that's about $38 million.
That's good. You talked about job creation and you talk about content creation. Is there any other job creation that you foresee that the city will be kind of hiring during this World Cup process?
The responsibilities directly related to putting the World Cup on are all sitting within the host committee, but
Okay.
we do what we do to support tourism and hospitality workers every day. There's 387,000 roughly in total, and that's why we focus on the work we do to make sure that we've got ongoing robust traffic and sales. So that's something we are completely focused on every day, but especially the additional workers that are coming in for World Cup, which could be another 15 to 25,000 workers just for World Cup.
And out of the 15, 25,000, do you have a percentage? If you don't, that's fine. You could get back to me, which are temporary, which ones are going to be permanent.
I can follow up with the host committee on that.
Okay. Speaking about the outer boroughs, can you speak a little bit about the bids and how you're going to have the bids being a part of the World Cup? I know you talked about hosting some games, maybe watch parties. But is there any other opportunities for bids to kind of explore during the World Cup?
Absolutely. So I can take this and others feel free to chime in. We have been meeting with bids and the chambers. I think there's kind of the external piece and the internal piece. So externally, obviously, we want to support any and all opportunities to be outside and get folks out there. And we want to make sure, for example, that restaurants and members of chambers are able to participate in our outdoor dining program. We just really anticipate, a joyful celebration this summer. And so we want to make sure that small businesses really understand what's possible and are participating in kind of the celebrations. And then from the internal perspective, working with them to make sure that they have resources that they need for example, tourism surges, like understanding what it means to have increased visitors to the city and what that looks like. And so that's kind of taking the form, I believe, of some webinars and resources as well. So very much excited about that opportunity and are working closely with them.
Will there be any grant programs or technical assistance programs for small businesses during this process? For example, translation support or extended hour guidance or any marketing coordination?
We are looking into that out of our allocation of funds, ways that we can directly help support small businesses, so that those plans are still in development, and we want to make sure that we have tools on our site that allow for translation over 60 languages. There's a tool we're going to be working with Google on that helps folks navigate how long is it going to take me to get to the stadium, what's the traffic like here, and that is fully translatable, and we want to make sure we're doing everything we can to get to the borough and bid level to ensure that those businesses can link to our site, use our tools, and get lifted up in our content and on the calendar.
Okay. You mentioned the event will be felt on the subway platforms and buses, I'm assuming. Has there been any coordination with MTA to prevent service disruptions for everyday New Yorkers?
Absolutely. We have had kind of interagency coordination happening over the past 2 years between DOT, MTA, and then also, of course, our partners at New Jersey Transit and others. And one kind of piece that I wanted to bring up is that part of the reason that New York City was chosen for this event is because we have such a wide range of public transportation in the region, like best in class, best in the country. And that's why we are uniquely positioned to host this event. And it is very much our intention that, visitors and fans, but also residents experience, no interruptions and really good service throughout the summer. So that coordination has been ongoing and conversations will continue.
Okay, and Chair, I just have a couple more questions. Public safety. I'm pretty sure during this time there's going to be a lot of movements within New York City. Has the administration been coordinating with NYPD, FDNY, just to make sure that they're controlling a lot of the chaos that's going to be coming to New York City this summer?
Absolutely. NYPD, FDNY, and NJSPD have designated working groups that convene regularly to discuss kind of overall safety and security measures during the duration of the World Cup. But also they are developing a plan to kind of specifically address disorderly behavior, any type of incidents. And then very much separately, but wanted to call it out, PD will conduct threat assessments to identify kind of primary risks to World Cup and associated fan parties. And PD will also kind of deploy counterterrorism assets that they would for any kind of major event with any large public presence.
Okay. And lastly, affordability. This is going to be extremely costly experience here in New York City. When you're speaking about the stay, currently right now, hotels are extremely expensive. Is there any opportunity for the administration to think of creative ways they could kind of bring down some of that cost, whether it's hotels, whether it's having resources there for anyone who want to utilize the short-term rental systems in New York? Is there anything that the administration can do to kind of pick that up?
Thank you for the question, Council Member. Our focus right now is on making sure that the 8 million New York residents who are here and visitors who come can experience affordable and accessible programming in every dimension. And so that is what we're working on. We're very excited to kind of bring forward more specifics soon and happy to also follow up about this.
Okay.
So.
And one more. My last question. I think this role is extremely important. I know it's just you're just the world, Maya. You're as the World Cup czar, but like I said, there's great opportunities for us to actually go out there and look for other events that we could kind of bring to New York City. So, does the administration have any plan to kind of make your role more permanent, or change the name of it so we could kind of be more aggressive out there to find different opportunities that we could bring here to New York City?
It's a great question. I unfortunately cannot speak to my role, but I do know that it is very much the mayor's intention that New Yorkers not just feel that their city is more affordable under the Mamdani administration, but feel celebrated as a city and feel that we can host the world successfully, and that folks really across the world understand that New York is the best city in the world. And so very much the intention is to continue that work without being able to say with certainty exactly what shape it will take for now. But I do think this is an exciting opportunity to build out what that could look like. Thank
you so much for your time.
I want to recognize Councilmember Aviles for joining us and piggyback on Councilmember Riley's questions around security. I know the state secured funding for federal counter drone efforts specific to the World Cup, and curious how the czar and the administration is coordinating with state police, MTA police, and then of course Port Authority on the security planning.
Absolutely. PD, FDNY, NJSPD, Port Authority, and others have all been in really close coordination around transit and mobility and safety and security. As far as the drone program, and I'll just say there's working groups and the conversations have been ongoing for the past 2 years. So feeling very confident about both the preparedness and then also preparation for contingency. And as far as specifics on drone program, that is something we can get back about.
And does the city have a plan to increase the security budget around the World Cup, independent from these other efforts?
That is something I can get back to you on.
Sounds good. I want to acknowledge Councilmember Chanel Thomas Henry to ask any questions she may have.
Thank you. Thank you, Chair. I have a couple. So I represent the 21st Council District where the Queens Fair Zone will be. So my first question is, who is managing that experience? Is it the USTA? Is it EDC? Who would be responsible for everything from hiring, programming, and the like?
That would be the FIFA host committee.
And is there a cost for that event?
Well, as in for New Yorkers to attend?
Yes.
We're having conversations with the host committee to make sure that the event is as affordable and accessible as possible to every New Yorker.
Okay, and do we have any idea how those tickets will be distributed? Because oftentimes when they are, like, just from experience, we have the U.S. Open every year. Usually when those tickets are opened, a lot of our residents who literally live walking distance miss out. So is there anything being put in place to make sure that residents that are surrounding this area have either first access or to those tickets?
We are negotiating all of the details and it's not locked yet, but very much the intention is affordability, accessibility, and obviously tourists going to the 5 boroughs, but also New Yorkers in the 5 boroughs being able to take advantage of it, which is why we're very excited that one of the major events is going to be in Queens. So very much something we're working on. It's a priority and can get back to you on the details, which we hope to have quite soon.
And is FIFA also responsible for doing the hiring for that event? And if so, do we know when that's going to start?
Yes, they are. They are hosting, funding, and contracting, and so they should be. I'm not quite sure when that will begin.
Okay, I'd like if we could have coordination with my other office because again, it's literally in the district in our backyard. From a transportation perspective, what is the plan for transit and traffic mitigation, keeping in mind for at least a week of these events, the Mets are playing at home?
Absolutely. I can speak kind of more broadly to our transit coordination and then on the specifics of coordinating related to Mets games. I know that those conversations are very much in progress, and so we can and will coordinate with your office to understand more what the nitty-gritty details will be. I think, so on the overall kind of transit piece, obviously, first and foremost, our goal is to move people via mass transit. We know that that is going to be the way the majority of fans reach matches and also travel throughout the city, and we plan to highly, highly encourage the use of mass transit. So transportation planning has been kind of one of our earliest and most intensive coordination areas. We also want to ensure that we are not clogging the street with additional private vehicles where possible, because we really want to make sure that streets are moving for everyday workers to get to work and school and causing as little disruption as possible. We've been working very closely with the host committee and all city and state and federal partners on transportation planning for over 2 years, kind of meeting regularly with MTA, New Jersey Transit, Amtrak, Port Authority, all the partners. And I'll say New Jersey Transit is managed by the state of New Jersey, and they are actively developing their plans. But as far as kind of the coordination happening internally, that is very much in progress and can speak with the committee about more details.
A recommendation would be something to consider as well. Just keep in mind that the 7 train on a good day is overcrowded. LIR, and have you guys explored possible ferry service?
Yep, I can take that very question. So first off, we're very proud of our ferry system, of course. We've had 2 really great milestones recently. One is we had our 50 millionth customer since the formation of the system. And then 2, we announced that we reached all-time records last year in terms of ridership. So it will be part of the overall infrastructure of public transportation for the city and for residents and visitors alike during the World Cup. The summer is our peak season, so our ferries will be out in full force throughout the entire summer. As of right now, that is our plan. Should there be other needs that arise, we will work very closely with Zara and her team to figure out what we can do.
But keep in mind, currently, we don't have a ferry stop at this location. So it would be putting the making sure that you guys route, because so currently there's no route to this location via the ferry service.
That's
I
correct.
mean, it's accessible, so, and it's something that we would like to see, not just for that, but permanently. So if you guys could explore that as a transit option, it would be greatly appreciated. I want to move into small businesses. Have you guys, or have you recommended to FIFA to coordinate with some of our local, like the Queens Economic Development Corporation, the chambers of the like, to help support small businesses in the surrounding area? And by support, I mean everything from I know there were dollars slated towards marketing and branding. So going back to Council Chair Maloney's point of, do we have opportunities for revenue generation? Like, is EDC or whomever creating something that comes from New York that we can start marketing and selling to generate revenue? We have both airports in Queens. So as soon as someone gets off the plane, they can buy something branded right here in New York. For our small businesses who are going to buy from random wholesalers, knockoff merchandise, we can create a system that they're buying it from the city of New York and expanding their business opportunities. So is that something from a creative standpoint that you guys may have considered?
We have explored that, and we also are having new conversations because in the past there are always licensees and existing retail outlets. They've been playing a little bit with that at LaGuardia with small businesses and local makers, but we have some upcoming conversations to just revisit that in the next 2 weeks, just to see how it can be physically placed in the airport.
I can definitely help with that. Just came from the airport. And no, but that I really want to expand upon that conversation because, again, it is something that will support our small businesses. It would be revenue generating for our city, and it's a win-win opportunity that I don't want us to lose sight of. Will the fan experience disrupt the Queens night market in any way? And will there be, have you considered any additional support to those businesses that are at the Queens night market?
The fan experience currently does not disrupt the Queens Night Market. I can get you the exact details, but I believe that's the case. And we are in coordination with the Queens Night Market and USTA in Flushing to kind of make sure that all of the Jenga makes sense.
Okay. I just have two more questions, Chair, if that's okay. What percentage of the media that's being spent is being spent with ethnic and community media outlets?
We're taking a programmatic approach because it allows us to target based on the behavior of the consumer. So we want to make sure it's a good budget. It's not a budget that we can just throw widely. Mm-hmm. So we're trying to target those folks who are showing intent to travel, who want to travel for big events. And then when we bring them to our website, they're seeing all the neighborhood content and our small business content and the calendar that drives. So we've got to get them to our page and then drive them deep into neighborhood guides where those businesses are featured. That's the way we can best track it, because we also now are able to bring a tool on that will show us who came to the website, who saw the media, and then we'll identify points of interest across all 5 boroughs. We'll be able to see if they in fact went to those places. And the only way we can do that is through programmatic buys, which really target the person based on what behavior they're showing. So we're doing it, we're always open to adding to other outlets, but because we're trying to bring people in and get them dispersed, that's the most surgical way of doing it. But we are only now just planning, so we're always open to more neighborhood outlets as well.
Okay, and then just the last thing with going back to transportation, 2 comments is in terms of traffic management, because now you have 2 major fanfare events that are in New York. Have you had discussions with NYPD for increased traffic management? Again, from experience, we have the U.S. Open every year.
Yes. Thank you for your question. Absolutely. And those conversations have been ongoing for the past 2 years, both in terms of traffic management, but also security in general, because those 2 events have been, I believe it's Rockefeller Center and USTA. Those events have been in the works for a while. So those conversations are ongoing. And then we are also having kind of coordination meetings regarding other summer events and just making sure that there's appropriate capacity to make sure that everything is safe and moving smoothly.
I would also recommend coordination with MTA because the two closest stops, 103rd and 111th, are under major construction. One of those, at least one of those, you can't even get off on one side, so there's no access. So if that work could be expedited or worked out in some way, would be great.
Thank you.
And final, sorry, this is my final question. The park, will residents have complete and full access, unimpeded, to Flushing Meadows Corona Park during this entire experience?
I can get you more details on that. I believe so, but I need to get you more details. Yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you. I want to acknowledge we've been joined by Public Advocate Jumani Williams and Councilmember Banks. On the transportation theme, the 2014 Super Bowl at MetLife Stadium is the most comparable recent event, mega event that the New York area has hosted, and was widely seen as a logistical disappointment. So what, specifically with transportation, so what has EDC or the czar done to examine that event, and what are we going to be doing differently this time?
Thank you. The region has definitely learned from past high demand events at MetLife, including the Super Bowl and others. New Jersey Transit is led by New Jersey, and they are responsible for their service planning and operations for MetLife related event travel. We have been coordinating with them together for the past 2 years. And from the city side, our focus is making sure that New York City's systems, subways, buses, streets, public space management, wayfinding, and public information are ready for surges and clear to the public. And more specifically, NYPD is working alongside DOT to provide easy mobility for ticket holders to be transported by a bus to New Jersey's MetLife Stadium. And so we have kind of multimodal options. And we know that at least as a beginning level of detail, a cone lane will be constructed along a dedicated route for restricted access to MTA buses only, as well as first responders and FIFA shuttles that are also planning to bring fans to the matches. So multimodal options, and then ensuring that there are contingency plans in case any issues arise, and then of course clear multilingual communication around the whole thing.
One contingency plan, New Jersey Transit is expected to complete the transit way right before the tournament begins. So do we have a contingency plan if that's not operational?
That's a good question. We can get back to you with that.
And are there any additional preparations that you as the czar are making with DOT for traffic management on the New York City side?
Absolutely. We understand that not only is the World Cup happening this summer, but also a variety of other events are happening. And so these conversations have been happening for 2 years. And again, really want to emphasize MTA, New Jersey Transit, Port Authority, regional partners, all involved. And we can absolutely kind of make sure to update the committee on more detail around those plans. So.
One of the proposals from the mayoral administration is a 5-week free bus pilot during the FIFA World Cup. And from a logistical and operational standpoint, when we are dealing with so much other complexity, how feasible is it going to be to implement this system-wide free bus service during that period?
Thank you for the question. We are continuing to have conversations internally and with the governor on what it would look like to make buses fare-free, and we will keep the council updated as those conversations progress.
How does your office anticipate that this might impact New Yorkers who are relying on those buses for their regular daily commutes, especially when we're already concerned about overcrowding and ridership and maintaining reliable service?
Absolutely. I can say that over the past couple of years, a top priority has really been understanding how the tourism surge will affect transit through the city, and then also making sure that New Yorkers themselves do not face disruption. And we're happy to, after this, kind of follow up with more details as well.
And then the last question on that theme is, what would the expected revenue loss be when, we have this opportunity for massive economic benefit if we were to lose that revenue from tourists?
For the bus fare, I can get back to you on that. Thank you for the question. Yeah.
I want to pass to our public advocate to say a few words.
Thank you so much, Madam Chair. Appreciate it. And thank you for allowing me to give an opening statement in the middle of the hearing. Much appreciated. Thank you for being here. As mentioned, my name is Jamani Williams, and I'm public advocate for the city of New York. I'd like to thank Chair Maloney and the members of the Committee on Economic Development for holding this timely hearing. Just wanted to make sure some of my thoughts were on the record. New York City's metropolitan area, including both New York City and parts of New Jersey, is gearing up to host a significant portion of the 2026 FIFA World Cup. This includes 8 matches, most notably the final on July 19, 2026, which will be held at MetLife Stadium. For New York City anticipates welcoming an additional 1.2 million visitors for the event. For an event so large with an unprecedented influx of national and international visitors, coordinating these games would require extensive collaboration with state and federal government partners. These visitors and events surrounding the World Cup are projected to drastically increase pressure on Port Authority Trans-Hudson Path trains, New Jersey Transit, and Metropolitan MTA subways, particularly around Midtown bus tunnels. The Mamdani administration is pushing a 5-week free bus pilot during the World Cup, which I think is great. But the plan hinges on state approval and MTA support. Because no parking will be available at the stadium itself, the MTA is coordinating with New Jersey Transit and Port Authority to manage increased traffic. We can reasonably assume also that hotel demand will reach capacity, with Times Square likely serving as the major fan zone. Furthermore, cultural institutions throughout the city, such as the Whitney Museum, are planning to customize events to coincide with the tournament, and many other museums, restaurants, and businesses are likely to do the same. Rockefeller Center will host a major fan village with additional activities at Louis Armstrong Stadium in Queens. Port Authority plans to help manage traffic flow, especially through the Midtown bus tunnel, and New York City health officials at Bellevue have begun running drills for potential infectious disease outbreaks, including exercises at LaGuardia Airport. New Yorkers, particularly those with mixed status families or without legal authorization and international tourists, should be aware that U.S. Immigration Customs Enforcement, also known as ICE, will play a key role, quote unquote, in 2026 FIFA World Cup security in New York and New Jersey. ICE's acting director Todd Lyons told the House Homeland Security Committee on February 10th that the agency's Homeland Security Investigations, HSI, is essential, quote unquote, for securing stadiums and protecting visitors, end quote. The Department of Homeland Security, DHS, put out statements suggesting that, quote unquote, legally visiting vans have, quote unquote, nothing to worry about, since federal law enforcement routinely secures major events like the Super Bowl, also, quote, without conducting indiscriminate immigration sweeps, unquote, and particularly what we saw yesterday with Colombia. I think that raises even more concern. Mayor Mamdani recently signed Executive Order 13 in good faith effort to reinforce New York City's sanctuary laws and city protections to protect residents' privacy and ensure continued access to city services for all New Yorkers, regardless of immigration status. This order, a necessary response to current federal immigration enforcement strategy, prohibits ICE from entering city-owned properties. So I'm hoping we have a plan to make sure people feel secured. I'm also very excited about the plan they try to do with the cost of tickets. I hope we can do even more so everyone can enjoy. And lastly, I just want to make sure that it's going to be very Manhattan-centric, which I understand, but there are other parts of the cities and other parts of the borough that we want to make sure also enjoy some of the economic prosperity, including, as mentioned, when it comes to advertisement and other ways that we can make sure no parts of the city are left behind in enjoying what should be an awesome time. Thank you so much, Madam Chair. Appreciate it, and thank you for being here as well.
Thank you very much. Councilmember Aviles?
Thank you so much, Chair, and thank you to the administration for being here. Apologies if this is a question you've answered 12 times, but such is the life of hearings. I guess first I'd like to, I think cities across the country who will be hosting FIFA World Cup are obviously in various stages of planning and agreement, and certainly one of the things that cities are joining in on are ways to ensure that we're safeguards around workers' rights, around public safety, around impacts for vulnerable communities in particular. And so I guess I'd love to understand about, in particular, I just lost my question, excuse me. I'd love to know around who in the city will be responsible for monitoring labor violations during tournament preparation and delivery? And what kind of penalties will vendors face for wage theft, misclassification, or unsafe working conditions?
Thank you, Council Member. We are very proud to be a city that has strong labor standards, and we will be ensuring those standards are met and that workers know their rights. We are very excited to have a deputy mayor for economic justice and strong advocates in the city. Strong worker protections and empowered workers who are supported by the city to know and exercise their rights benefit us all. Laws in particular, like fair scheduling laws, which impact the food service industry, the Safe Hotels Act, which requires panic buttons for staff and human trafficking training, are two examples of the many laws that we will continue to ensure are met.
And so will New York State DOL, who's the accountability force here that will be monitoring and engaging in oversight around violations?
The city hall is coordinating, and I can get back to you on exactly the levels of enforcement that will.
And in terms of ensuring, New York is a proud union town. And we want to ensure that we have good union jobs and certainly pathways into those jobs, not only for this particular opportunity, but ways that more of our communities can be long-lasting union workers. What kinds of models are you engaging in or developing to make sure that this is not just a one-shot economic deal, but that people are getting longer-term union wage work?
Yeah, hi. Happy to take that question, and thank you for the question. So again, big picture, we see this as a immense economic opportunity for the city, not only for today, but for, as you said, post the World Cup as well. And so one of the things that we are very focused on is there is going to be a large amount of businesses, large and small, who will be visiting New York City from all across the world. That is a very unique opportunity for us to go out and explain that New York City is open for business. Here are the resources that are available for businesses who are considering opening up a facility in New York City, and how the city can be supportive. And so we are aware of many different places that are bringing delegations here of businesses. For example, we know the Germans are, the French are, just give two quick examples. And we are working very closely and kind of touching upon a point to the other council members before, working very closely with the business improvement districts and also the chambers of commerce to making sure that when we meet with businesses who are going to be here, who are considering New York City for expansion, who will hire New York City should they come here, that we're bringing in our local partners, the bids, the chambers to help sell. It's too premature to say what type of businesses that will be here in terms of who will want to expand here, but we anticipate it will be a mixture of places that will be hiring union jobs and otherwise.
Great. I think, we certainly want to learn from the lessons of the past where much of these kinds of events, while brought economic opportunity, were rife with exploitation of individuals. So we want to make sure that all the agreements that we are thinking through, not only ensuring that we're doing great project labor agreements, but also we are engaging our small businesses and providing them with real opportunity, but making sure first and foremost that our workers are protected and not exploited. So we'll definitely continue to keep track of that. In terms of public space, and I heard you, and transportation, I think what we have learned from our district, we have a cruise terminal, and when the giant cruise terminal comes in, our residents get pushed aside. They can't get to work because the 5,000 new arrivals want to get on the ferry to quickly get to Manhattan. We've said to the city, you can create a visitor line and a resident line to make sure that residents can get access to go to work during these times. They've never actually implemented anything like that, but we are going to have the same problem again because we are a city of 8 million people and people need to get to work. So what kind of, in addition to increasing service, the truth of the matter is we're probably not going to meet that. So what kinds of programs are you thinking that we could ensure that our residents can get to where they need to go Because if you're visiting for FIFA, then leave earlier. But if you're here for work, we got to support our residents first and foremost. So, are you guys thinking of any other kinds of ways to make sure that our residents can get to where they need to go?
Yeah, that's a fantastic question. Thank you for it. And specific to the cruise terminals that you mentioned before, let me circle back with the team at EDC and we'll follow up on that.
Great. In terms of public space activation and tourism, I think something we've also seen in other jurisdictions with mass occasions like this is people get displaced. We see serious homeless sweeps. We see displacement of local vendors. We see local businesses also getting pushed aside for whatever manner of things are coming in. So I guess I'd love to understand, like, how are you planning to make sure that we are not displacing local businesses, local vendors, and we're certainly not sweeping unhoused New Yorkers to make things look pretty in a way that is undignified?
Thank you for the question. It is our top priority to ensure that residents can celebrate the World Cup and benefit from it. And so all of our plans are made with that in mind. And we are very excited to share more specific plans related to activations in public space and use of public space in the coming weeks. But that is absolutely top of mind for us as we are planning.
And in that vein, are there resources for our public spaces are severely underfunded? In particular, our park spaces. We don't have enough workers to keep parks clean on a day-to-day basis. Is there going to be an infusion of funding to make sure that we have personnel to meet the demands of, having so many new people for these events?
We are exploring different options for staffing amidst the infusion and the surge, and can follow up with more details.
Is there I've seen funding for advertisement. I have not seen funding for operational purposes for New York City staff. Like
Sorry,
parks, cleaning staff, like the whole workforce that we need that is going to support this whole ecosystem and infrastructure. We see a huge advertising budget in the preliminary. I was just curious if you are intending on adding some additional resources, particularly for New York City workers who are going to need to be part of this effort.
Yeah, so it sounds like you're asking about, will there be a increase of budget for any of the city agencies? Is that right? Who are responsible for?
Yeah.
Let us circle back with you on that one.
Okay. And lastly, in terms of the transportation, I think something we've seen is these giant events really depend heavily on NYPD, who also doesn't have enough traffic agents. Is there an intention on bringing supplemental private traffic people to help during this time? Or will it be solely dependent on NYPD?
We can get back to you with more on that.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you. And just Chair, just so you know, we're going to be submitting testimony from Councilmember Teresa Mosqueda, who is a council member in Kings County, and they've been doing also a lot of work on making sure that as a host city as well, that that this event doesn't leave people behind and negatively affect their city, and making sure that workers are absolutely protected during these things. So we're happy to submit it. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Councilmember. I echo the themes of the demands that this influx of people is going to place on our city agencies. We've talked about transportation, NYPD, and security. I'd add sanitation to that list. And also wanted to talk about the expected demands on our hotel economy. So we've slowed hotel development in recent years. How do we expect hotels to be utilized during the COP?
I think one of our strong points as a destination that we talk about often is our diversity of product and our diversity of hotel experiences. So we are promoting all of our hotels. We are obviously featuring the fan zones and the anchor points, but we understand that there is a variety of consumer and fan coming here, hopefully, but also a wide variety of product available. So we know that consumers are looking for affordable options. They exist all throughout the 5 boroughs, so that's how we're promoting the offering.
Is there a concern that predicted elevated hotel pricing during the World Cup will displace traditional summer tourists who traditionally come to New York during that period?
In July and August, we typically do a lot of our programming in July and August. Certainly, we have tourists coming here, but it isn't the peak season. So we will have to monitor things as it gets a little bit closer, but we don't feel that that's an immediate danger.
And one other point I want to raise is the federal travel ban, which I mentioned in my opening statement, of 39 countries, including many of the teams that are participating. How does the city account for the potential impact of those visa restrictions and immigration enforcement concerns on attendance projections and the broader tourism environment? And I also wonder if you've had any communication with the federal government regarding the travel ban and the World Cup.
Thank you. We are very much aware of concerns about potential both federal enforcement activity and the impact of the travel ban during the World Cup. Really, our top priority is the safety of everyone in New York City, residents, workers, and visitors alike, whether you were born here or not. And so the administration is in touch with federal government and all relevant partners to ensure safety for all attendees of the World Cup. From our internal perspective, we will continue to focus on really clear multilingual communication, coordination with our partners, and ensuring that public safety operations are centered on keeping people safe and maintaining trust across communities.
Thank you. Councilmember Banks, if you'd like to ask a few questions.
Thank you, Chair, and congratulations first committee hearing. With the proposed projected $3.3 billion regional economic impact that was put forward by the New York, New Jersey Host Committee, wanted to know, was EDC able to independently validate these numbers? And if so, what sectors of business areas does the EDC anticipate will benefit most from this activity?
Thank you for the question. Thank you for the question, Council Member. We have not done an independent analysis yet. This question did come up earlier, and so we said we would look into it and get back.
And does the administration estimate the portion of the projected regional economic revenue, which obviously there will be revenue that will come from this, will directly flow to any of the city businesses? And as far as local tax collection, any projections on that?
So, yes, as you said, $3.3 billion is the regional economic impact that's expected. We have not done a analysis of New York City specifically, in part because it's just very noisy data to look at. It's hard to see if somebody is in New York City staying at a hotel here, then they go watch a game there, but they come back, or someone is doing the opposite. What we do know is that people are going to be here renting hotel rooms. There's going to be a lot of events that'll be happening. They'll be creating spend across the city, and then working very closely with across the various city agencies. NYC Tourism is going to be publishing things online where small businesses can direct people to where they need to go, et cetera. Yeah.
When it comes to transportation, and I think these questions was asked a little earlier, but I want to know what investments, when it comes to or operational adjustments, have been made to prepare New York City's public transportation system for the anticipated surge of visitors we're going to have to the city, and also to between the 5 boroughs and particularly the MetLife Stadium area.
Thank you, Council Member. We touched on it a little bit earlier, but we really understand that mass transit is going to be the way that the majority of fans reach games and move through the city, and we will be encouraging the use of mass transit rather than private cars. And so it's twofold. It's both ensuring that everyone can move around the city safely, visitors, tourists, but then also ensuring that residents face minimal disruption amidst the surge. And so our DOT, MTA, and kind of relevant city agencies have been working with folks on the other side of the river for the past 2 years. Both, New Jersey Transit and Amtrak, but also Port Authority, kind of the state of New Jersey. And there are extensive mobility planning pieces in place as far as moving folks to games. I have it here, but there's going to be kind of multimodal efforts. So, traditionally there would be just the New Jersey Transit to MetLife. We also plan, believe FIFA host committee plans to do shuttle buses, and there will be a dedicated lane that is dedicated to MTA buses, first responders, and these FIFA shuttles. So the idea is multimodal options and making sure that there's clear contingency planning for if there are issues with these options, and then making sure that we have really good communication systems set up to ensure that residents, visitors, tourists understand what options are available to them early, and then what options are available to them in the event of a need for a change.
And is there any projections on any revenue loss from the free transportation or the free bus service that's being proposed during that time frame?
We are in conversations with the governor on this fare free bus pilot, and we plan to keep the council updated as those conversations progress.
Okay, thank you. Look forward to that. And when it comes to the job creation, do you have any projections on job creation associated with the World Cup? And will any of those jobs, if any, be permanent as a result of this tournament?
So I don't have any projections to share in terms of jobs created. We can get back to you on that. But one thing that we did want to highlight is we do see this as a long-term opportunity for the city as well. There's going to be tons of businesses who are going to be here from across the world. We know a lot of different countries that are organizing business delegations that are going to be here. We're talking heads of major corporations down to growth stage startups to everything in between. And so we were working very closely with those various groups that are bringing those businesses here, so that way we can get in front of them and pitch them that New York City is open for business. New York City is here to support them in identifying how they can come to New York City, create jobs, et cetera. So that is one of our big focuses on how do we actually squeeze the juice out of this long term and create jobs for New Yorkers post.
Thank you for that. What strategies are being implemented to connect New York City residents, in particular young people and individuals from unrepresented communities, to employment opportunities tied to the World Cup games?
That is obviously a priority related to the World Cup, and we will have more to share on that coming soon. But
will there be any recruitment campaigns, day of actions to
recruitment?
So a lot of the work is being, excuse me, a lot of the work is being done in coordination with the host committee, and so allow us a moment to go back to the host committee and touch base with them. We come back to you with a more thorough answer.
Okay, and are there any outreach strategies? Is EDC using any partner council members, bids of borough chambers of commerce, community-based organizations to ensure broader awareness? Is there any intention to work with those partners?
Yes, absolutely.
those
We
entities?
have been meeting with bids and chambers to make sure both that we can support them in executing on community watch parties and making sure that their regions are able to benefit from the tourism and also benefit from residents being out. And so we are working closely with them to make sure we can support those efforts.
Okay. Well, this is a great opportunity, and it's obviously being portrayed as a once in a lifetime. So hopefully this can be an opportunity to improve some of the infrastructure, transportation infrastructure issues we have in some of the outer boroughs. So I'm hoping that the impact that comes, that it's spread throughout the entire city and it's just not concentrated in one particular area. Thank you, Madam Chair.
Thank you.
Thank you so much, Councilmember. Part of my interest in this event is that it sets the stage for New York to be the home for international events like this in the future, global events like this in the future. So I guess how are you as the czar thinking about this opportunity as a platform to position New York to bid and host future global events?
Absolutely. Really appreciate that question, Chair. We are working through our, obviously, like, coordination has been, ongoing for the past couple of years. And so I think that obviously also informs how we see our readiness and, what our capacity is for these major events. But we also see the mayor's plans and visions, which we will be announcing in the coming weeks, as potential pilots and kind of experiments for how we can use public space, activate public space, engage with communities across the 5 boroughs, support bids, and make sure that small businesses really benefit from this. And so I think part of this will be that process of kind of learning from the experience and figuring out how we can grow and make sure that we are getting the maximum benefit, and then also positioning ourselves for future events.
So to that question, what infrastructure capacity are we building now that we can leverage in the future?
Sorry.
Pardon?
Wait, did I cut you off? Sorry.
No.
Okay. Fantastic. Appreciate the question. I think a major part of this is going to be the relationship building and coordination with bids, SBS, chambers of commerce, all of this work that we're doing, and tourism has also been doing around building those relationships, understanding how we can activate for major events, and then kind of support, like having the city support with resources and facilitation to make sure that across the 5 boroughs, particularly in the outer boroughs, we are pushing people to the outer boroughs, and then also providing the resources and facilitation needed such that residents can benefit and small businesses can benefit.
So beyond the institutional and kind of the relationship capacity, do we also expect infrastructure, more physical benefits for the city in the future?
We can get back to you with more on that.
I also wanted to circle back on actually, Councilmember Avilés, you had one more question?
Thank you. That's very generous, Chair. I wanted to know, in terms of engagements back to the union, what has been the engagement so far with labor unions that represent the workforces that might be impacted by the tournament?
Thank you. We are in conversation with unions, and we are proud to be a city that has strong labor standards, and we are really committed to ensuring that those standards are met and that workers know their rights throughout this process.
And is it your office that is doing the direct engagement with the unions?
Yes.
And can you tell me a little bit about what that has looked like? Which unions have you been most in touch with around this planning effort?
We can get back to you with more details on the specifics of that. My office, I started 2 weeks ago, so we've had a couple of meetings, and more meetings are in the works.
Okay, great. I'll circle back to get another report back, and then squeezing one more in because I can't help myself. We're all afflicted by so many questions. In terms of this issue of work and temporary workers in particular, what is the city's plan to ensure that companies either are incentivized to not use temporary kind of low-rung workforces rather than better permanent jobs for people, and or I'm sorry, that's a convoluted question a little bit. And also, will you plan to engage our Workforce One centers where we have so many people waiting for work who are primed? And how will you manage both incentivizing the use of New Yorkers and good paying jobs? I'll leave it there.
Absolutely. That is absolutely a priority for us, and we can work with the council on more details about how to make that possible. So.
I wanted to also talk about dynamic pricing, where FIFA is using dynamic pricing for the first time in World Cup history here, and the range of ticket prices is from $1,000 to $3,000. So I guess what is the full range of face value ticket prices for the MetLife matches?
We can get back to you on that. Thank you.
And I know the mayor and the administration has been very vocal on this point and wondering what some of the actions that are being taken by the administration are.
We appreciate that. We are in close conversation with FIFA. The mayor has made it very clear that he believes the tickets are very expensive and not necessarily accessible to particularly working class New Yorkers. We are in ongoing conversations with FIFA and the host committee to ensure that every attempt is made to make sure that working class New Yorkers can access games. And then also we understand, of course, that the 8 million people in New York City who will not fit the stadium should also have accessible, affordable, and fun engagement this summer. And so that is really a priority for the city in particular, because we know we can also benefit New Yorkers at scale.
Thank you for that. And for those soccer fans who won't actually be able to attend the Cup, but are here in New York, we already have millions of soccer fans located in the city. How are we planning on activating them sort of beyond the community events that we'll get more details on soon? Just wondering if you can provide any further details on how you're planning on making sure that our local communities are able to play along.
I appreciate that question, Chair.
And the
we
pun.
we are very much in conversation with everyone from soccer leagues to CBOs to fan groups, and very excited to activate them and ensure that they have access to all of the opportunities that are to come this summer. And again, excited to share more details soon. So
We're eagerly awaiting.
yes.
Did my council member colleagues have any further? Aviles looks like she does.
I wanted to just follow up to make sure I was understanding the response. In terms of, my understanding is that the city is also, I guess, paying into the host committee. Now, does this allow us to set metrics around either our labor agreements or the kinds of workers, or ensuring that FIFA vendors, or however you call them, are actually working with our workforce centers and placing like a certain number of New Yorkers? I guess I'm hungering for where does that agreement lie? Is there a real agreement there to be had given our investment?
Yeah, that's a really good question, and thank you for asking it. So the way that it is structured is because EDC is responsible for paying providing the money to the host committee. There is a contractual agreement with them. I don't have that with me. We will follow up with you on that and share with you the details on this important point.
Does it include metrics of that nature in terms of like high road agreements around, the kinds of companies and expectations around jobs and placement? Does it?
Unfortunately, I wasn't involved in the in the contracting
Okay,
process. So
I would love
yeah.
to. I would love to receive it to better understand where those mechanisms lie, because of course, I think the concern is that what we will see in practice is New Yorkers not getting jobs. We have a whole infrastructure here of people waiting to work, ready to work. We have a pipeline for that, and not getting those placements, especially people in the outer boroughs. Small businesses not getting the placements that they need or they deserve as the host city, and seeing outside corporations come in and do their general extraction. And obviously just, protecting our residents in terms of making sure they can participate and they can go on their daily lives. So I'd love to see that contract and understand how we can make sure we put things clearly specified expectations in those agreements around how we can do better in this for this participation.
Yeah, absolutely. We share those values with you. More broadly speaking, I can say that as an example, as part of our asset portfolio, our public markets, we have run about 145 events last year through those, and there's about 40,000 people who attended those events. And there's about 80 local businesses who participated in those events. So we again share the value of wanting to replicate something like that for World Cup activities.
Yeah, no, with the notion, of course, advancing equity also
yes.
as a very critical lens to hold to all of this, because we always see big guys get all their money and the rest of us are fighting for $10. Thank you so much.
We appreciate that, council member, and share your values there. And I can also say we're working with the FIFA host committee to ensure that they are using local small business vendors for their activations as well. So that is in process.
Thank you, council member. We've chatted about the themes of labor, transit, hotels, and security. I want to move to parks. We've talked about how there will be public spaces, hopefully, where we're leveraging public parks for viewing. Is that right? And we'll get more details shortly. And then I guess I'm moving to the other side of play. So how are we making sure that we're using our parks and making sure that fields are accessible when the demand to participate in the sport is presumably going to be higher with the excitement of the Cup?
We are very excited about this, and we'll have more specific details to share shortly, but very much share your excitement and really hoping to activate in public space and kind of leverage our parks, but also unique and creative ways to activate public space to ensure that young people and everyone can play. So.
And last question from me, but we talked a bit about how you're working closely with the business improvement districts. And I'm wondering if you could share a bit more information about in what context are permits being issued, are resources being offered to these communities or to these parks that are going to be activating local events, just given how close we are to the Cup.
Yes, I can speak a little bit to this, and then from our perspective, we've been meeting with bids and chambers, and as mentioned, I think really want to focus on enabling them to be able to activate their areas. And so that will look like hopefully the facilitation of permits and viewing licenses, but also hopefully some level of resources. And those details will be shared shortly. And also on the internal side, it is coordination and webinars and kind of educational resources around how to plan for tourism surges, how to make sure that businesses are ready, how they can take advantage of the outdoor dining program, and pieces like that. And
Yeah, thank you. We also are in regular communication with the bids and chambers on a couple of fronts. We want to make sure that the content that we have on our sites is robust, refreshed, updated. Are we highlighting every business that wants to be involved? We want to make sure we're directing visitation to the right places. We don't want to go where people don't want tourists. We talk about the Joker stairs quite a bit in our offices. But there are things like that we want to make sure that we've got boots on the ground, and we want to make sure that our communities are represented properly and correctly. And that is why we have this portal, this calendar that will be on the site where they can all take part, post their events, make sure their offers are fielded, and then we will use this media money to lift that up. And also we want to make sure if there are neighborhood leaders and businesses that deserve to be highlighted, that they're where the content creators go. And we have itineraries and neighborhood guides that can be appropriate and relevant to various audiences that we know will be coming here. We are lucky in that 4 of the 9 countries playing here are amongst the top markets for New York City anyway. Mm-hmm. And so we know how to talk to those folks. We know, and they are more likely to go into the boroughs. We know our international travelers are much more intrepid and they tend to explore. And we have a lot of repeat visitors, so it's incumbent upon us to make sure we're showing different offerings, diverse offerings, and dispersing them appropriately. So the biz and the chambers are a great partner for us in ensuring that that happens, and it happens. We've been in active dialogue with them over the greater part of the last year, getting ready for World Cup.
And I realize this may be a bit redundant, but bids are such an important local partners for us. And so we've been talking a lot about the tourists and visitors who are going to be visiting New York City over the course of the World Cup, but there's also the businesses that are going to be here as well. So again, as we learn about businesses who are going to be visiting New York City, we are in very regular contact with the bids to say, hey, we think this business might be a good a candidate for a potential location within your bid. Let's work together to pitch them on New York City, pitch them on your neighborhood. And so we will do that throughout the World Cup as well.
Thank you.
You mentioned several times the bids. Are you talking about a specific set of bids? I'm just curious, or are they?
No, we work with bids all across the city. So SBS, as you may know, oversees the overall bid community. So we work closely with them, and whenever there's opportunities, we will go join their regular meetings and present opportunities to them.
Are there, but in the context of the tournament, and given that, it's a New York, New Jersey situation going on, are you prioritizing specific bids that are maybe geographically closer? I just wonder how you're handling the large city and the probably thousands of bids we have maybe.
Right now, there are no plans to prioritize geographically closer bids. It's very, very important to the mayor that the celebrations of the World Cup are felt and benefited from across the 5 boroughs, particularly in outer boroughs as well, that could often be overlooked in an event of this size. And so we're really committed to working with bids across the whole city.
Got it. And I was not at all suggesting I would want you to prioritize. I just wanted to understand if that was implied in your response.
Great. Thank you so much for being here. I think the World Cup, and we all agree, is an extraordinary opportunity for the city. And you all being here, Mayor Mondami's appointment of a dedicated World Cup czar is a testament to the seriousness with which the administration supports the Cup. I do want to point out that the first match is going to be on June 13th. So we are very close to the Cup kicking off, and want to stress the urgency of getting much crisper in the organizational details, coordinating with our bids and local communities, and giving the public information about how we'll be able to publicly engage, and more details around some of the themes with operations that we've highlighted in this conversation. So we'll be following up in the upcoming weeks. I want to acknowledge Councilmember Gutierrez for joining. Do you have any questions before we wrap up? We're about to open up to public testimony. All right. Okay, excellent. So thank you so much, and looking forward to the impact that this will have.
Thank you.
Thank you.
I now open the hearing for public testimony. I remind members of the public that this is a formal government proceeding and that decorum should be observed at all times. As such, members of the public shall remain silent at all times. The witness table is reserved for people who wish to testify. No video recording or photography is allowed from the witness table. Further, members of the public may not present audio or video recordings as testimony, but may submit transcripts of such recordings to the Sergeant-at-Arms for inclusion in the hearing record. If you wish to speak at today's hearing, please fill out an appearance card with the Sergeant-at-Arms and wait to be recognized. When recognized, you will have 2 minutes to speak, and we ask you please keep topics focused on today's hearing topic, the 2026 FIFA World Cup preparations. If you have a written statement or additional written testimony you wish to submit for the record, please provide a copy of that testimony to the Sergeant-at-Arms. You may also email written testimony to testimony@council.nyc.gov within 72 hours of this hearing. Again, audio and video recordings will not be accepted. First up, we have the Hotel Trades Council, Michael Rodriguez. Thank you. And what do I say? Oh, okay, great. Sorry, everyone is coming up. Adelina Santiago, John Horner, Laturo, and Jeffrey LaFrancois. Thank you. Oh, no.
All right, ready to go?
You can begin when ready.
Hi, everyone. I'm Mike Rodriguez. I'm the Contract Fight Director with the Hotel Trades Council, and I'm reading testimony on behalf of Rich Morocco, the President of the Hotel Trades Council. My name is Rich Morocco. I'm the President of the Hotel Trades Council, which represents more than 40,000 hotel and gaming workers across New York and northern New Jersey. Our members are the housekeepers, front desk agents, cooks, bartenders, bell staff, servers, and maintenance workers who make New York's hospitality industry run every single day. In 2026, New York will host the World Cup, the World for the World Cup. The games are projected to bring over 1 million visitors to our region, with room rates reaching record highs. The games will generate millions in revenue for hotel owners, hotel operators, and real estate investors. We believe that hotel companies and investors should not be the only beneficiaries of this global event. Working New Yorkers are facing an unprecedented affordability crisis, and the hotel workers who will welcome the world to New York, who will clean the rooms, prepare the food, maintain the buildings, and deliver the services that define this city need significant wage and benefit increases just to afford living in the city where they work. Our union's master contract covers 30,000 workers at 250 hotels across New York City. It sets wage standards, health coverage, pension contributions, and working conditions across the city's flagship hotels. The agreement expires July 1st, just days before the World Cup finals. As we approach that expiration date, negotiations between our union and the hotel industry will determine whether New York hosts the World Cup with stability and shared prosperity. Let me be clear, we do not want a strike that will shut down the city's hotel industry during the World Cup. But we will not accept a contract that asks workers to subsidize record hotel revenues while struggling themselves with rising rents, inflation, skyrocketing childcare costs, and the overall cost of living in this city. If hotel owners choose confrontation over fairness, they will be choosing to start a disruptive fight during the largest global event New York has ever hosted. Like the mayor and this council, our union believes that the prosperity generated by the World Cup must be shared with New Yorkers, not just the wealthy elite. That's why I'm here today to let you know what's on the line, not just today, but in the coming months as we go to the bargaining table. We will do whatever it takes to stand up for hospitality workers that make these games possible, and we hope we can count on you to be by our side as workers fight for the contract they deserve. Thank you.
Thank you. A reminder to keep comments within 2 minutes. Thank you.
Good afternoon. My name is Yudelina Santiago, and I'm a proud member of the Hotel Gaming Trade Council. I have worked as room attendant in 29 East 29 Hotel for 19 years. I love my job. Let me play a part of how visitors experience New York. With the World Cup this summer, I'm excited to be on the front line as make sure that people coming from around the world see how great our city is. This is one in a lifetime experience, so many people and me and my brothers and sisters in the hospitality industry are ready to do everything we can to make sure one that they remember. But with a million visitors set to pour into the city, it's also important that elected officials are doing that they can to make sure we are protected. As a union member, I know ATC has my back, but we still need to make sure hotels are following the rule to keep us safe. That means making sure Safe Hotel Act licensing required are properly enforced to keep hotels safe for both workers and guests, and ensure that labor rights are properly respected across the 5 boroughs. Especially with our contract expiring on July 1st, we are counting on you to have our back. We are all excited about the World Cup and all that it has offered, but with also much excitement, it's easy for city ignore mutable worker. New York City is better than that. You have the resource and law in place to make sure workers like me are not exposed to that potential abuse or wage thief that major event like this can cause. We need your help to do our job safely and with dignity we deserve. So please, are we prepare us for this historic event? I ask the City Council to take care of us just like we are looking forward to take care of our guests.
Thank you.
Good afternoon. My name is Jean-Omer Latour. I do have a written statement that I'd like to submit. My name is Jean-Omer Latour. I'm an organizer with Unite Here Local 100. We represent tens of thousands of hospitality workers in New York City and the surrounding region. Our diverse members span many of the iconic sites New Yorkers know and love. Large stadiums where staff create memorable experiences for all who attend. Our members will be the people who will be on the ground when the global communities arrive for the FIFA 2026 World Cup in New York. Our members want this tournament to go well for visitors and leave thinking New York delivered something special. What we're asking for isn't complicated nor difficult. Our concerns boil down to this. If a contractor is doing World Cup related work, there need to be enforceable labor standards attached to that contract. Existing collective bargaining agreements must be honored. Workers who want to organize shouldn't face interference, and subcontracting chains need to be transparent so that there's no question about who employs them and who's responsible when something goes wrong. What we're saying and asking for can't be aspirational statements buried in a press release. The things we're concerned with are critical for the well-being of our members, their family sustainable jobs, and need to be binding, legally enforceable, with real oversight behind them. We would be doing a disservice to our members, to this process, and the city of New York if we didn't say plainly that we've seen what we've seen happen before. Multinational events generally have a low road track record. Large groups will say the right thing to secure RFP and then leave the communities that made big promises behind. An element of that is low road subcontracting, a practice where wage structures that don't come close to matching the scale of the event, along with health and safety conditions nobody would expect if cameras were pointed at them. New York should not be the next city where this happens. A world-class event requires wage and hour standards commensurate with global excellence. These aren't abstract concerns. The people we represent will staff the stadiums. Our members will prepare the food, run the concessions, clean the facilities. They will be the first face a visitor sees and the last person to leave when the night is over. The work our members perform, because they are also on stage, takes skill, training, and deserves stability. Treating these jobs as interchangeable or temporary bodies to fill schedule during a busy week is not acceptable. Beyond that, it is not consistent with what the city says it stands for. New York has an opportunity here to not just host a successful tournament, but demonstrate a city can do this right. That you can run a mega event without running over the people who make it happen and who make it work. This is not abstract. Just last week, FIFA canceled their fan festival in Liberty State Park, sacrificing thousands of hours for hardworking union members and undermining the wage floor for the event writ large. Unite Here Local 100 is prepared to be a proactive partner, but partnership is predicated upon our members' interests in the room, on paper, and memorialized in a contract. Thank you.
Good afternoon, Madam Chair. Congratulations on your first hearing, members of the committee. I'm Jeffrey LaFrancois, Executive Director of the Meatpacking District Management Association. And today I'm also here as co-chair of the New York City Bid Association, which is the member organization for the city's 78 business improvement districts, with representation across the 5 boroughs, from Meatpacking to Montague Street and up to Morris Park, Flatbush to Flatiron, and in Chinatown, and now at the beach at Coney Island. Bids are a direct reflection of their communities and collectively invest over $200 million in private assessment funds in their communities each year. Bids are not just neighborhood managers. We are proven partners in bringing public spaces to life. Our programs help define the city's cultural calendar, from the ball drop to sprawling art installations, holiday lights, and organized tastes of our districts. We make it happen. Every day, Bids of all sizes are partners with the city in providing supplemental city services to keep our commercial corridors clean, safe, beautiful, and indeed bustling, while also working to bring world-class programming to our neighborhoods. Bids want to do big things. We were referenced many times today. And as managers of the public realm, we are required to apply for permits through the Street Activities Permit Office. However, there is currently a moratorium on plaza activations from June 1 to July 18th because of the World Cup. This moratorium is preventing us from being able to move forward with any programming whatsoever, including things like lunchtime concerts and free workout classes, soccer-centric programming aside. While City Hall has indicated that they are working to find a solution and that SAPO will be reformed, planning takes time for organizations no matter their size, so guidance on how bids can participate and apply for permits cannot come soon enough. As we also prepare to welcome millions of visitors, we know our hotel supply will not meet demand. The city's expensive, onerous special permit process has all but halted the development of new hotels while simultaneously undermining membership growth for our unions. Our ever more expensive hotel rates are eliminating huge swaths of travelers from picking NYC as their preferred destination for the Cup. And while that change won't happen overnight, it's something that councils should seriously consider. Public transit must also be prioritized. Nobody wants to miss a goal because of a double parked car in a bus lane or because of a delayed train. We really look forward to working with this committee, greatly appreciate the opportunity today, and of course with City Hall to ensure success across every corner of this city, and that no matter the team you support, there's a great program at which you can experience the best of NYC.
Thank you so much. We'll jump into questions, and starting with the first set of speakers from HTC. Some economists have cautioned that hotel prices could displace traditional tourists. Is that something that HTC is also concerned about?
The question is about demand. So it's about demand this summer?
And displacing traditional summer tourists due to the high
traditional summer
cost.
tourists. It's an interesting question. I would have to study it more and get back to you.
We can expect a large influx of people. And my question is around hotel workers and what you expect in terms of workload, scheduling, staffing levels to shift during the World Cup period.
Yeah, that's a great question. We recently did a survey of our membership, and we found that 40% of our members don't have enough saved to cover a $400 emergency expense. About half are spending more than half of their monthly income on housing, and about a third have fallen behind on rent or mortgage payments in the last year. So our members, despite our great contract, are struggling with affordability like other New Yorkers, and they're also struggling with workloads. Work intensity in the hotel industry has gone up in the post-pandemic era as hotels are experimenting with various ways to computerize and automate and increase the workload. And we expect a busy summer and hope to be able to meet the influx in tourist demands with a fair contract and a professional workforce.
Can you add more details of what hotel workers are fighting for in the new contract?
Yeah, it's a great question. We're fighting for a number of measures to make New York more affordable for our members. We're fighting to protect our family health care plan, to protect and improve our pension, to have wages that have caught up with the rising cost of living, and to win some of the things we've won in New Jersey, including a child care fund and other measures to make the work more sustainable, and so that our workers can afford to live in the city that they work.
And what is the risk? I know the contract is expiring July 1st. What is the risk that the World Cup operations could be impacted?
Yeah, it's a great question. Our members are professional. They love the work that they do, and they want to keep doing it, especially during such a high-profile event. Everyone is excited to be a part of it, and so the hope is that the industry comes to the table and agrees to terms that help our members do that, help them serve the influx of tourists that they would love to meet and to welcome to our city.
Councilmember Gutierrez.
Thank you so much, Chair. Thank you for your testimony. I have two questions. One is for you. You mentioned that you are you a home? What is your profession at one of the hotels? My apologies. As housekeeping. Do you have any concerns or have expressed any interest in additional training? Obviously, we're anticipating an influx of people from all over, but as a as a housekeeper, do you have any concern just for your own personal safety, considering the magnitude of people that will be coming in and out potentially, for your personal safety? Or has your hotel instituted any additional training for you all? And, my mother was a housekeeper. My mother-in-law was a hotel housekeeper, retired from the union. So all my respect goes to you all. And oftentimes you all are the front lines, right? And so what are some of the concerns that you and other housekeepers have for, this magnitude of potential guests that you'll be having? Are there tools that you all have to be able to identify certain issues? And I don't mean to put any pressure on you. I know you guys are expected to do the job and identify other, trafficking potentially. What are some of those tools that you have, or are you expecting to get that training? And then my next question is for you. Sorry, thank you.
Our safety, our housekeeping safety of the hotel. That's my concern.
That's your main concern. And has there been a response from the hotel, or is there an expectation of additional training, or what other safety precautions would you like to see to be able to protect you all?
We have training about trafficking, human trafficking.
Okay, you've already done the training. Are they doing more training, or?
I don't know.
No. Okay. All right. Well, something for us to continue to raise with folks. And then, and I apologize, the gentleman from Unite here. Thank you so much for your testimony. My question is, your testimony was great. I think it really captures the fact that while it may be an event that's temporary, there is a much longer standing impact. And I know you mentioned in your testimony about the festival that was canceled last minute. What do you think the leverage that we have is for some of these like permanent jobs that you're speaking about? And how are you able to bring on more people at this point? Or like, what is the best thing to do for workers, and the economically responsible thing to do to prepare? And I'm sorry if it's a loaded question, but I'm generally curious because I think we all see this and we're like, oh, this means jobs, but it doesn't always mean jobs. It may not always mean jobs beyond the event. So kind of what are those, how have you thought that through, and what are some of the things that we can help in asking for leveraging? Thank you, Chair.
Very loaded, but awesome question. Well, I think we have the past to look back to learn from. We've had events like this, not in New York, but in other parts of our country, where the investment became long-term, where we saw benefits going beyond the events, beyond that calendar, where the city and the state and so on benefited in the very long term greatly from, not just tourists coming in to visit, but where there's sustainable visits and return visits, and industries that can actually not just be born in services, but also that can grow from it. So I think we need to look at not just labor, but the city of New York and partners. How do we benefit? How do we capitalize on the opportunities that are coming? But from labor, we have to look at how do we make these jobs sustainable? How do we make sure that our members, whether it's HTC, Unite Here Local 100, and other unions and other trades, how do we make sure that our members are benefiting, not just of this contract, but long term, and we're part of the growth of New York City? Because I think New York City is going to be greatly benefiting from this opportunity, and we're going to grow from it. But we're interested in all of us growing together. I think that's New York's. That's one of the things that makes New York great, right? When we all grow together, we become even a greater and a better city. And I think that's the interest: is how do we look beyond this event, which is awesome and once in a lifetime. But what are the industries that are going to benefit long term? What are the services and industries that may even be born out of this event? And how do we work together to make sure that labor is not forgotten and left behind?
Absolutely. I mean, it's almost March, so we got to work together quickly to brainstorm. But thank you all so much for your testimony. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you.
Everyone feels the urgency. I wanted to speak a bit about the bids. What engagement have you had to date with the administration? Or
There was-
have bids
Sure.
generally had?
There's been some large scale, the webinars were referenced, sort of like putting out the information that the city appears to have thus far. This restriction on our ability to get permits seems to be a deference to FIFA and their desire of what they do and do not want to do across the city. And like I said, that's not just preventing us from planning World Cup specific activations, but the lunchtime stuff, the free workout classes, all the other things that we do in that prime 2-month time frame. So we've been told that the administration is keen to get us information on how we can begin to apply for permits. There have been a number of meetings, like I said, mostly large scale as it relates to sort of them putting out information. Councilmember Gutierrez just said it's March. That is very true. And it makes me very nervous given this is, happening in June. So we are eager to be at the table getting real information on how we can make this stuff happen.
And typically when you're planning for summer events, how much lead time do you usually have?
The city mandates, depending on the size of the event, if it's a neighborhood-wide activation, they want at least for the permit to be in the system at least 2 months prior to. But sometimes for us, like if we know we have a big event coming, we're putting that in 6 months in advance, right? And then coordination across numerous agencies to make these things happen. So right now it's that, some of us have big teams that can do this stuff. Some bids are a staff of 1 or 2 people making these things happen. So it's the coordination internally and then how and whether or not the city and its agencies will be able to meet the demand of what we hope is, activations across all 5 boroughs.
So you mentioned a multi-week moratorium on events.
Yes, right now we cannot put permits in the system for June 1 to July 18th at all for anything.
And what is the rationale you've been told?
Our understanding is that went into effect under the previous administration, and that was to give the city the ability to have FIFA choose where they would like to activate. I think for the record, I don't think this is unreasonable. What's unreasonable is that it's March and we don't yet have an indication of what FIFA even wants to do across the 5 boroughs. So that is our sort of eagerness and the desire to, we want to make big things happen. I think as you in all your opening remarks acknowledged, there's huge benefit to gain from this.
Certainly understand the urgency and the need for more clarity here. Beyond clarity on the permits, what other resources or information do you need from the city to create the great programming that we all know and love?
Absolutely. I mentioned the private resources that bids invest in their communities, but again, we heard a lot about the public dollars that are being spent on this. How will those be allocated across not just bid districts, but community organizations as well, right? I have colleagues whose annual budget is less than $500,000. What is that organization going to do as it relates to a program in their community? Is the city going to be willing to bring money to that community or not, based on anything they've laid out? If we're going to talk about equity, how will that be looked at across all 5 boroughs? I think is really important as well. I think many of us who have the ability to stand up events want just the ability to do just that and be permitted and allowed to do so and plan accordingly. So really considering the full gamut of what we can offer and how the city can get behind it is what's most important.
Thank you so much.
Absolutely. Thank you.
Ready for any further questions? All right. Thank you so much for your testimony. Really informative, and I appreciate you being here. Now, next we have Tarek Pertu from Footy. Oops. And Minky Worden from Human Rights Watch. Gonzalo Cazales from Culture and Arts Policy Institute, and Michelle Doughton from Independent Drivers Guild. Thank you very much for being here. And we can begin testimony. Whoever would like to start, go ahead. Yeah.
Thank you. Yeah.
2 minutes each.
I'm gonna rush through it. Thank you, Madam Chair. Congratulations on your first hearing. My name is Gonzalo Casals. I'm the co-director of the Cultural and Arts Policy Institute. I'm also I'm former commissioner for the Department of Cultural Affairs during the de Blasio administration. The New York City Comptroller's Office established that the creative sector generates $110 billion annually, 13% of the city's total economic output. And we employ over 326,000 people, paying out $30 billion in wages. New York City holds an astonishing 12% of all those U.S. creative industry jobs, despite accounting only for less than 3% of total national employment. All this to say that, we're a big industry in New York City. And I'm going to go ad lib a minute here. I'm dismayed that cultural organizations, artists, cultural workers have not been mentioned at all in this hearing as potential partners for this work. The question before this committee is whether the city will leverage this global tournament and our local cultural infrastructure to drive core economic development or leave money on the table by treating culture as merely peripheral to programming. The World Cup is projected to generate a massive $3.3 billion in economic activity for New York and New Jersey and draw over 1.2 million visitors and generate $431 million in state and local tax revenues. To maximize this windfall, we recommend that the city use the World Cup as a coordinator cultural catalyst. Especially, the city should partner with civil society, cultural organizations, to be specific, to extend FIFA 2026 beyond stadiums into structured citywide cultural celebration rooted in neighborhoods across all 5 boroughs. Throughout the tournament, New Yorkers and visitors should experience hundreds of free concerts, events in parks and plazas, open street, libraries, cultural institutions, and beats, of course. This approach would generate an immediate neighborhood-level economic impact by capturing visitor foot traffic across all 5 boroughs, supporting small businesses and strengthening the hospitality sector. To understand this potential, consider the local multiplier effect. A study of New York City small venue theaters found that the economic multiplier is 2.2. That means for every dollar that we generate by a local cultural venue, 1.20 cents circulates in surrounding neighborhood businesses, a return significantly higher than the 1.65 multiplier seen in media and entertainment. Crucially, this initiative would also create paid opportunities for artists and cultural workers. The tournament is expected to support over 26,000 jobs and generate $1.3 billion in labor income. We must ensure that this wealth is distributed equitably to workers across the city. Implementation should occur through a city-led public-private partnership with matching funds and defined roles for borough-based cultural anchors. One designated anchor organization per borough would provide fiscal sponsorship, coordination, and sub-grants to local partners to ensure coherence and equitable distribution. Centralized branding and streamlined permitting would guarantee visibility, while borough stewardship would ensure local relevance and accountability. The city, and I'm done with this, the city has committed $34 million in FY26 executive budget, especially designated for FIFA World Cup planning. That investment must generate measurable citywide economic returns. If structured intentionally, this tournament can strengthen neighborhood commercial corridors, bolster the hospitality industry, and invest directly in New York's creative workforce. The World Cup will come and go. What remains is the civic infrastructure we build. If the city treats culture as economic development infrastructure, designed, funded, and governed intentionally, the benefits will extend far beyond the final match. Thank you.
Thank you.
Greetings. I'm Minky Warden, and I work at Human Rights Watch, where I oversee all of our work on sport and human rights worldwide. Human Rights Watch has monitored human rights abuses in the run-up to the Russia World Cup, to the Brazil World Cup, and most recently, the Qatar World Cup. We're basically at the 100-day, oh, and I should also say I'm a New York City resident and taxpayer. We're at the 100-day countdown mark for the World Cup, which is across the US, Canada, and Mexico. And this was supposed to be both the largest World Cup in the history of the world, the first 48-team World Cup, but it's also the first World Cup which is governed by a human rights framework. And this is a very important point. The mayors, we applaud the mayor's approach that the World Cup should be joyful and vibrant and affordable. But we also wanted to raise the human rights concerns around the World Cup. And this World Cup is supposed to be the first that has a human rights action plan. So now, 3 months, 100 days before the launch of the World Cup, no one has seen the Human Rights Action Plan. Has anyone in the room seen the Human Rights Action Plan? Okay, no. No one's seen it. The Human Rights Action Plan was mandated for all 16 host cities by FIFA. And it's very important. So we all saw that acting ICE Director Lyons has said that ICE would be providing security for the World Cup. And no one should feel secure when ICE is providing security for the World Cup. There's also no need to do it. State and local law enforcement have shown many times that they are fully capable of doing so. Human Rights Watch documented a really worrying case at MetLife Stadium in a report last December. It was a father who went with his 10 and 14-year-old sons.
Time has expired.
To the World Cup, and he was arrested and handed over to ICE and deported. This was at the Club World Cup last summer, and this was a New York resident, this presents a profound risk for the World Cup coming up. If the New York City area, New York, New Jersey, wants to see a return on investment for this World Cup, fans have to feel safe, and that means that this World Cup cannot become an ICE enforcement zone. Thank you.
Thanks for the opportunity. My name is Tariq Pertu. I represent an organization called NYC Footy, which is the largest participation soccer league in the nation. It was founded in New York, where we have 60,000 New Yorkers participating, New York adults participating annually in our leagues. And I'm here just to speak first just about the sport and the players. We didn't touch too much on that reality of the World Cup, is that there are actual soccer fanatics that want to experience this World Cup at the height of what I call the brain. The soccer brain is going to be swelling significantly, but the accessibility for participation in the sport is extremely low, and I'd say stunted, with antiquated policies and rules in this particular city. And I want to call out a few things. I want to call it a few quick facts. One, soccer's overtaken baseball as the third most popular sport in the country. Soccer has 7 times the demand for field space in New York City over baseball and softball, which currently has a significant priority over soccer. 40% of New Yorkers are foreign born. When you factor that in with also soccer being in demand with Americans in general, this is the perfect opportunity. And it's a perfect opportunity to unite the entire city around this moment. It's going to be the largest entertainment event in the history of this city. And one thing that we've seen is the ability to actually participate in the sport in New York is exceedingly difficult. Thinking about lighting alone, there's not a single lit field in New York City between Grand Street on the Lower East Side and Harlem in East Harlem. Not a single lit field. On the West Side, there's only one, DeWitt Clinton Playground. And soccer only gets priority considerations in the fall and winter when when sun sets at before 5 o'clock. So my ask is to make park space more accessible, particularly during the World Cup. Invest in temporary lighting solutions for the majority of fields where that is possible. We've already submitted numerous proposals to the Parks Department without response over the years.
Time has expired.
Thank you. And final point is equipment. The New York City Parks Department has just removed equipment from the majority of fields, making the ability to play soccer on all these large turf spaces almost impossible for youth and adults or community members that can't afford to bring their own goals to and from fields. We as a league can. It's exceedingly difficult to transport goals to and from fields, but think about the community that cannot participate. And last, I want to echo the previous gentleman's statement on the moratorium on permits while we sit and wait for FIFA to tell public spaces as well as private-public partnerships like the Brooklyn Bridge Park Corporation, where we don't even know if we're going to have a summer league there, where we have 500 players playing there every single Sunday because they have to wait for word back from the Parks Department. So that's holding us back as well.
Thank you all. Appreciate it. Good afternoon, Madam Chair. My name is Michelle Dutton. I am the representative for the Independent Drivers Guild. I am also a licensed TLC driver, and we are the largest driver-based led advocacy organization representing over 80,000 for hire vehicle drivers in New York City and over 250,000 drivers across New York, New Jersey, Connecticut, Illinois, and Florida. Founded in 2026. We are the leading driver organization in the nation. Uber and Lyft workers unite for a fair industry. Our members will be a critical part of moving fans, visitors, and workers for and from MetLife Stadium and across the region during the 2026 FIFA World Cup. They are ready to do their part. What we're asking today is that the city do theirs. Our concerns boil down to three practical asks. First, designated pickup and drop-off staging areas where drivers can lawfully wait for passengers without fear of being ticketed or subject to heavy-handed enforcement. If the city wants for-hire vehicles to efficiently move large numbers of people in and out of the World Cup venues, it has to create the conditions that make that possible. Second, extend bus lanes access following late matches. In Brooklyn, bus lane restrictions operate on a weekly basis, Monday to Friday, 7 a.m. to 7 p.m., which could give flexibility and allow the drivers to move even faster, not having the bottleneck. We're asking the city to alleviate whether that enforcement standard or similar flexibility can be applied in corridors serving World Cup venues after late matches to accelerate post-match dispersal and reduce gridlock. Third, clear advanced
Your time's
signage
expired.
throughout the event, footprints so drivers know where FIFA zones are, which lanes are available, and where they can legally wait or drop off. This is low cost, high impact, and benefits everyone on the road. None of this is unreasonable. Designating staging, extend lanes flexibility after late matches. The plain language signage are operational decisions that can and should be made before the first match kicks off. Our members will be on the road before dawn and after midnight making this event function. We are asking only that the city meet us with the same level of preparation and good faith our drivers will bring to every shift. We will also help protect and keep, visitors safe, those who want to take private cars up, like us, Uber and Lyft.
Thank you all for your testimony and for raising very important points around the logistics of the Cup and the industries surrounding it that are going to be impacted. I want to start with Culture and Arts Policy Institute. You mentioned designated anchor organizations in each borough. Have those organizations been identified?
I think that's for the city to decide. But in the past, when we had to move money really fast because we're in March, right? What we do, we took advantage of the partnership that the city has with CIGs that really quickly can move money outside of the city coffers. It could be a CIG in each borough could be designated, and then that CIG could help distribute or re-grant money outside the other organizations.
That makes sense. Thank you. Thank you for sharing. And for the IDG, have you identified what you expect the increase in demand will be around the Cup, and what that burden will place on your drivers?
Yeah, actually, we do expect this to be high, only because we're talking about over 1 million people, right? And even with Subway, there's I guess, stressing high that MTA and or buses can do this job. They can't. On a regular day, we can't even get space on the subway platforms. The buses, they're not going to extend that much, that many more buses, right? But what we can do, we can work together to make it logistically possible, making sure, because it's also the safety and also the trafficking issues that could happen at these events, right? So if we have proper signage for our drivers, making sure that all the participants and the visitors go to the correct vehicles, because they've been drinking, they've been doing this, right? They're having a good time. And those little gaps So if you all can give our members something that indicates FIFA, only those cars the riders will know to get into. We do expect on a regular day, we can transport about 80,000 rides in one day. So when you add about 1 million visitors on top of regular public, and just as Councilmember Velez said, they have issues when a normal event happens on them, they being able to get to work because they have not adjusted the number of riders that's going to be added to the system. So we do anticipate at least 1 million rides additional to our drivers. And currently we have 85,000 licensed driver, but Uber and Lyft has another 50,000 that they can activate. So if we have the proper, roadways and shared roadways, it will help everything flow better.
Thank you. And I wanted to ask NYC Footy, I'm interested in the players, as we talked about before, and getting, people who aren't actually able to watch the Cup participate. So you said 7x the demand for soccer relative to other sports. Is that just much higher interest or more about a lack of space for players in the city or combination?
So that metric is just interest alone. So that information comes from the Parks Department when they shared how many applications came through for softball and baseball in a softball baseball priority season, and soccer just blew it away, and they don't make space for soccer nearly as much in the spring and summer. We're one of the top two largest permit holders in the city, and we don't have a single renewable field for soccer in the spring or summer. It's incredible. And that's, to me, it's just answering the needs of New Yorkers. They're telling you they want to play soccer. It's the most popular participation sport in this city as players, youth and adult. And it's obviously going to hit a real head here in the World Cup. So many New Yorkers that are already playing soccer, I think, are going to really identify more strongly with the sport because it's going to be on home turf, this amazing, again, the most largest entertainment event in the history of this city. And the city's not prepared for that at all. And like folks have said, permits have already gone out for spring and summer. It's too late, really. It's almost too late for this city to solve for that part of it, the priority part. But it's not too late to invest in temporary lighting so that you can suddenly unlock thousands of hours at fields so that youth can extend their play and that adults can come on later and participate safely under the lights. And I do want to say that on just your point real quick, I went to numerous Club World Cup games, which was a little bit of a teaser for this World Cup, and the transportation side, it was not ready at all for what was going on there at all. Even when you got to the stadium, the confusion alone around where private cars are supposed to go was unbelievable. So I just want to echo your thought on that. And I just want to mention one thing. Why is this important economically? Each one of these groups that comes together and participates in a league that they can rely on every single week, that's a big component of youth and adults' recreational, mental, social, and physical wellness on a weekly basis. So they know it's going to happen every single week. It becomes a core part of their routine, a core part of their social lives, and the economy that they generate outside of soccer is significant in this city. They might participate at a field. They go to a cafe before to grab their coffee. They go to a bar or restaurant later to have a meal. It drives so much economic activity that if you do unlock these fields through greater accessibility, it's going to generate an extraordinary amount of additional income for the city and for the local businesses that surround these parks and fields.
Can I add one more thing? Our drivers are all independent contractors. They're single business owners. So that's also small businesses that you would be also making sure that they get a decent piece of the pie in this event as well.
Thank you all for your testimony. I really appreciate the time. Go ahead.
One quick thing. I came here thinking that arts and culture we were the only ones left out of the planning. Well, I feel better that we're not the only ones. I'm really worried. No, but seriously,
I don't know if I feel good about that.
I'm really worried that the city's not thinking on working with civil society, right? They understand the size of the scale of the event, and they don't understand that if we don't work with civil society, we're not going to be successful on this. Thank you.
Thank you all for being here, and that is the goal of this hearing, is to shed light on different aspects that might not be incorporated in the planning to date. Thank you so much. I know we have someone on Zoom, the president of the Hotel Association of New York. I'd like to invite you to join us for your testimony. Yeah. Okay. And then we'll come back to in person.
You may begin. We can't hear you.
Can you hear me now?
Hear you.
Can you hear me now?
Yes.
Yes.
Hello? Okay, sorry about that. Thank you for holding this hearing today. I'm Vijay Dandapani, President and CEO of the Hotel Association of New York City, also known as HANIC. We're here to testify about the importance of the 2026 World Cup to the financial health of New York's hotel industry and those employees whose livelihoods depend on it. The hotel industry is critical to our city's economy and the backbone of our tourism sector. In 2024, visitors to New York spent $51 billion here, directly supporting thousands of hotel jobs. Visitor spending generated over $7 billion of tax revenue, helping to ensure our city's government has the funds necessary to provide government services all New Yorkers benefit from. Unfortunately, our city's hotel industry is facing major headwinds. Persistent inflation, tariffs from the federal government, declining tourism, and rising operating costs now threaten the livelihoods of hotel workers who help drive the city's economy. 2 million fewer visitors came to the city in 2025 as compared to 2019. Most notably, international visitation fell by 8.9% over the same period. Not surprisingly, hotel earnings per room are on a precipitous declining trend compared to pre-COVID levels, even as wages are 15% higher than in 2019. Decreasing earnings and rising expenses are having predictably bad results, and there are 24% fewer NYC workers in the unionized hotel industry today than in 2019. At the same time, room supply fell 14%. With lower earnings and higher expenses, we are seeing countless large hotels close. One just has to look at the Lexington corridor in Midtown. Each closure costs hundreds of jobs and hundreds of hotel rooms and millions of lost tax revenue. It is in this time of decline for the hotel industry that the World Cup will be coming to our city. The World Cup can provide a much-needed financial boost to all hotels, especially those facing the potential of closure. We hope this boost, like all others, will not be temporary. Crucially, we need to encourage potential visitors attending the World Cup to stay in New York City rather than the suburbs. During the World Cup,
Your time's expired.
Thank you.
Please finish your statement. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Therefore, it is essential the City Council focus on ensuring this quality of life issues, crime, trash, transportation, and others that the Council has already addressed. Otherwise, the prospective jobs created by this event will not come to fruition. Nonetheless, even a perfectly executed World Cup will not solve this underlying issue. No industry can remain profitable if expenses outpace income, and no single event can overcome this long-term trend. We hope to work with the Council to fix these issues, and so that the World Cup can be a part of the rebirth of the city's hotel industry. Thank you, Committee Chair, and the other elected officials who are present. I thank you for your time and the opportunity to testify.
Thank you so much for being here. What data do you have on projections for hotel occupancy or rates of this summer during the period of the Cup relative to prior years?
Well, as somebody from the tourism body addressed, Madam Chair, they said that there's going to be a blip. Quite obviously, we expect a blip, if not a surge at some level. But I think, as I pointed out in an op-ed that I wrote today in the New York Daily News, other world events like this, the Paris Olympics being the most recent one, what happens is the rates go up, and as a result, bookings fall off. So we got data most recently from a reputed card company, I can't name them, saying that the only country that is seeing a surge so far, two countries, I take that back, one is the United Kingdom and the other is Norway. The uptake from Germany and other parts of Europe have not been there as yet. And one of the principal reasons is what somebody earlier on in the hearing pointed to. FIFA is, for the first time, has instituted a dynamic pricing system. So prices literally go like an electrocardiogram, and it's one day it's up, one day it's down, depending on what the demand is. So that has proven to be a deterrent for booking. We hope that'll change, although we have only just about 100 days left. But at this time, those are the two countries that look like the silver lining in this horizon, and we hope others will pick up.
Thank you so much for your testimony.
Thank you, Madam Chair.
Okay. Next, I'd like to invite Ariana Dial from Equity League, Nomi Fox from Equality League, Annabelle Short from IT's Material, and Warren Gardner from Airbnb. Thank you very much. And Ziomara from New York CLC. Thank you so much. You may begin. Yeah.
Good afternoon, Chair Maloney and members of the Committee on Economic Development. My name is Warren Gardner, and I'm here representing Airbnb. The FIFA World Cup is a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity for every New York neighborhood to share in the economic benefits. Major events succeed when their impacts reach deeply into the places where New Yorkers actually live and work. However, the city's overly restrictive Local Law 18 does not make this possible, leaving New Yorkers behind and failing to provide affordable accommodations for visitors. A Deloitte report estimates that the roughly 25,000 guests who would stay in Airbnbs during the tournament will generate approximately $95 million in direct spending locally. This supports over 1,000 jobs and allows hosts to earn $20 million, with those dollars flowing to restaurants, retail, and small businesses citywide, especially in the outer boroughs. But under Local Law 18, with Airbnb listings down 92%, visitors are being funneled into Midtown's largest hotel chains, where rates have already reached record highs. This prices out many families and concentrates spending in just a few districts. The result is a World Cup where big hotel chains win and everyday New Yorkers lose. Airbnb is committed to broadening access. We're investing $1 million to support local fan experiences in the sport's legacy, including community soccer pitches and fan festivals in the Bronx and Queens, ensuring the World Cup leaves lasting benefits where they are needed most. Across the country, cities are preparing to ensure their residents benefit from the surge in visitors. New York City should do the same. By thoughtfully reforming Local Law 18, we can keep tourism dollars in local hands, support small businesses in every borough, and create safe, responsible pathways for homeowners to earn supplemental income during this unique moment. Reforming Local Law 18 is a win for New York City and a win for homeowners on the brink. Let's make sure this once-in-a-lifetime match becomes a once-in-a-generation boost for our neighborhoods, our small businesses, and our families. Thank you for this opportunity.
Hello, my name is Ariana Dyke. I am a Youth Council Ambassador with Equality League, an organization dedicated to safety, equality, and access in sport. I am also a high school student, student athlete, and New Yorker. I love sports. I love the city, and I am excited that the World Cup is coming here. But I'm also worried. For the past year, we've been pressing FIFA to publish a comprehensive child safeguarding policy for the 2026 World Cup. So far, they haven't made one public. So, I am here today to ask something simple. If FIFA hasn't published a child safeguarding policy, will New York City step in and protect kids? Every child in New York City deserves to feel safe, whether playing in a youth tournament, walking through a fan zone, or just showing up with their family to be part of something exciting. We rely on adults to set rules, to plan ahead, and to put protection in place before something goes wrong, not after. Right now, there is no single public enforceable child safeguarding policy that clearly explains what the rules are for adult behavior, who gets background checks and training, how kids or families report concerns, or what happens if someone breaks the rules. Without one clear policy, there isn't one clear standard. And when there's confusion, kids are the ones who are most vulnerable. New York City committed to human rights protections as part of bringing the World Cup here. Protecting children should be a visible, public part of that promise. I respectfully ask the Committee on Economic Development to create a comprehensive child safeguarding policy for the 2026 World Cup in the New York City metro area, and make it public so families and children can actually see how we're being protected. I know the World Cup will bring economic opportunity to New York City, but no economic benefit is worth risking a child's safety. When kids feel safe, families show up, communities participate, businesses benefit, and the city's reputation grows stronger. Thank you.
That's a hard act to follow. Hello, and thank you for hosting this hearing today. My name is Annabelle Short. I am a principal at It's Material, and I'm also the youth journalism lead at the Center for Sport and Human Rights. And I just wanted to emphasize the importance of one element of economic development and cultural development with the World Cup, which is creative and youth media. The World Cup will come and go in a flash, but like all events, it's the memories of people, who people were with in the moment, where they were, and the point in their lives when that moment happened. I think there's a huge opportunity for us to ensure that the story that's told of this World Cup is one that reflects the diversity of the experiences of New Yorkers and beyond. So I would love to see the City and Council really harness and invest in its local community media outlets and its storytellers, particularly young storytellers. This can be then part of the World Cup legacy of continued creative media at the intersection of sports, major events, and people's daily lives. There are two ways I'm currently working on this, and I would love to invite you to engage. One is through World Cup Memory. It has a particular emphasis on Queens, given Queens is the world's borough, but people in all boroughs are welcome to participate. But through digital and in-person events, gathering events, both of memories of past World Cups and also experiences of this one while it happens, to create a record for posterity. And the second is through Generation 2026, Youth Media Forward, with the Center for Sport and Human Rights. Since 2024, we've been working with teenage reporters and creators in 4 of the World Cup host cities: New York, New Jersey, Guadalajara in Mexico, Toronto in Canada, and Los Angeles, supporting them in reporting stories about sports in their lives, in their neighborhoods, and beyond. Their ideas and perspectives are unique and inspirational, and I would love to see this scaled. We have a guide for youth media programs in high schools that I'm happy to share. This World Cup is on an unprecedented scale. It comes with a lot of risks that have to be managed. I'm also working quite a bit on that. But it also comes with an opportunity to expand the space for narratives that engage deeply, thoughtfully, and creatively with New Yorkers in all 5 boroughs. Thank you.
Good afternoon. My name is Xiomara Loarte, Community Engagement Director and Chief of Staff at the New York City Central Labor Council, AFL-CIO, which represents over 1 million working people and over 300 unions in the 5 boroughs. With such a large and diverse membership, the affiliates we work to uplift have many different stakes in the upcoming FIFA World Cup. The historic event presents an opportunity to really present our region's venues on the world stage and in a different context. We're thrilled so many will come and enjoy our world-class city, our hospitality industry, and many offerings, both related and unrelated to the games. In the midst of celebrating the city, the global spirit of the tournament and the athletes, we have deep concerns about the employment practices FIFA and their partners will observe in preparation for, during, and after the event. We have already seen examples in neighboring jurisdictions of FIFA and their partners failing to live up to their stated obligations, and we want to avoid that same situation here. In particular, we're concerned about the use of open streets and workers' rights accompanying those spaces, the contracting practices of vendors using temporary structures, and the reciprocity FIFA will provide to working New Yorkers making practical sacrifices for visitor enjoyment. New Yorkers have been asked to shoulder many of the externalities related to this event. Rents for working class people have been raising in anticipation of this tournament. Tickets have effectively priced out locals, and there's been little to no effort to include everyday New Yorkers in the 5 boroughs. Public benefits have to match the private cost so many working families will make during this period. That's everything from transportation pressures to reduce access to recreation. And yet, where is the plan? We've also seen vague plans around how public spaces will be used for events. If new quasi-public temporary spaces are created, what rights will workers in those spaces have? Though there have been many promises to abide by high road labor standards, the question remains how these gray public spaces will be regulated and if those same protections negotiated at large venues will hold in these spaces. We believe it's crucial for FIFA and their partners to live up to those obligations and support New York City's ecosystem. FIFA and their partners claim they'll support high road labor standards and family-sustaining jobs. At present, those are promises and nothing more. We're asking for strong labor standards and floors that support the working families of this region. Reciprocity matters, and we expect FIFA to honor the commitments that help secure hosting rights to the World Cup in the first place. Thank you.
Thank you so much for your testimony. Thank you all. We'll now move to Zoom. Do we do one at a time? First, Jessica Walker, followed by Alexandra Sika, Sarah Bratko, and Nick Martinez. So Jessica Walker first.
You may begin.
Chair Maloney and committee members, I am Jessica Walker, President and CEO of the Manhattan Chamber of Commerce. The 2026 World Cup is a once-in-a-generation economic opportunity, but New York City can do more to take full advantage and spread the love to ensure small businesses benefit. Our most urgent challenge is a severe lodging capacity gap. Hotels alone cannot absorb a 37-day surge of international visitors. If visitors cannot find affordable rooms in the 5 boroughs, they will stay in New Jersey, taking their spending with them. A tourist who sleeps in Hoboken will not get their morning coffee or dinner in Astoria. So we are recommending a narrowly tailored suspension of the short-term rental ban for the World Cup window. This would be temporary and targeted, applying only to June and July of this year. This costs the city nothing while preventing the loss of hundreds of millions of dollars from leaking out of the city. All 5 of the borough chambers of commerce support this proposal. We also support a temporary move to 5 a.m. for liquor licenses citywide for businesses that want that, and a few designated 24-hour zones to maximize the party. I consider it a major win if we are able to successfully use this event to bring back our city's 24/7 feel and reputation, which has waned slightly since COVID. We are the city that never sleeps, and this is an opportunity to remind the world of that. Finally, we must ensure this rising tide lifts small businesses in every borough. This won't happen without being intentional. Our citywide Summer of Opportunity Coalition, which is comprised of chambers, bids, trade associations, and others, has created a free Summer 2026 live NYC map for visitors. It's interactive to discover local storefronts and watch parties throughout the 5 boroughs this summer. This could be a real game changer for our small business community. So we hope that city government will partner with us by leveraging its marketing channels to promote this map, ensuring every neighborhood business can be found online by visitors. With that, I will say congratulations on your great first hearing, Madam Chair, and we look forward to working with you. Thank you.
Thank you so much for your testimony. Next, we have Alexandra Sika.
Good afternoon, and thank you for the opportunity to testify today. I'm Alexandria Sika, president of the Dumbo Business Improvement District. I'm here to give you the point of view of bids like ours who would like to host free community watch parties. They truly are the best way for New Yorkers, especially families with children who won't be heading to the bars, to share this moment. The Dumbo Bid has actually been hosting watch parties like this in the Dumbo Archway with SAPO support for both men and women's events for over a decade, including 2010, 2014, and 2019. They've been highlights of our programming, bringing together so many communities. However, we are now 3 months away, and we desperately need clarity and coordination from the city. You've heard we're in a holding pattern on approvals, but what does this actually mean? At this point, we're weeks away from having to either spend tens of thousands of dollars on screens that we've already reserved, or simply cancel all of our plans. As a side note, screens are becoming scarce in the area, as one would expect, so those who have not already reserved may already be out of luck. Here's one example of the lack of clarity we're dealing with. The host committee suggested that a special non-commercial license would be created for free community watch parties like ours, but this doesn't even exist in the FIFA application process yet. They mentioned a cost for this license, but still we have no specifics. Beyond permitting, in today's climate, security is an increased concern. If you'd like these events to happen in New York City, we need the NYPD to be there, and we need them to be talking to us right now, digging into specifics. We are a mighty team of 4 at the Dumbo Bid. We have already dedicated a ton of time and money to this, but it's all on a wing and a prayer that the green light and the NYPD resources will follow. Switching gears for a minute to the influx of tourists, specifically in Dumbo.
Your time has
Tourist
expired.
surges are a major concern, very welcome, but we also have the 250th anniversary of the United States with the tall ships, the fireworks, which last year shut down Dumbo, including the city blocking our businesses from opening. We need real plans, and we need those to be underway right now. We need increased and visible police patrols, coordinated tour bus management, and very clear pedestrian flow management strategies. This is a moment that can truly uplift residents, that can strengthen our communities, and we really hope that the city, after this hearing, will dive full force into getting it done. Thank you.
Thank you. Next up, we have Sarah Bratko. Thank you
may
for your
begin.
testimony.
Hello, my name is Sarah Bracco. I am with the American Hotel and Lodging Association, which represents all segments of the lodging industry. The lodging industry is an economic cornerstone of the New York City economy. We support nearly 62,000 direct hotel jobs and generate approximately $5 billion annually in local, state, and federal tax revenue, all of which goes to directly support the community and city services. As we prepare for major events like America 250 and the World Cup, hoteliers are focused on delivering a high-quality service that's accessible to everyone, despite increasing operating costs that are driven by policy and regulatory decisions largely outside of our control. Over the last 5 years, operating costs have increased roughly 4 times the rate of revenue growth in nearly every category, including labor, utilities, insurance, food and beverage, and compliance expenses. This is particularly felt in New York City, where hotels face some of the highest operating costs in the nation, including high property taxes and one of the most highly regulated labor markets in the country. Uncertainty in trade policy has not only driven up construction and renovation costs, but have injected uncertainty into those renovations, with 32% of AHLA members reporting that they are delaying renovations. Continued declines in international and federal government travel have led to long-term concerns about occupancy rates, and simply put, it's now costing us more than ever to run a hotel, and revenues are simply not keeping up and keeping pace with those expenses. These cumulative cost pressures limit reinvestment, slow development, and can ultimately suppress job growth. The World Cup is an incredibly important opportunity to draw in both international and domestic travelers and should be viewed as a vehicle to spur long-term investments and policies that drive industry growth, but only if we have public policies that support our industry. The hotel industry stands ready to partner with the City Council, Mayor, state, and federal officials to ensure that this unique opportunity benefits our workers, small businesses, and the communities that we serve. We've submitted written testimony that goes into more detail, but we'd be happy to take any questions from you. Thank you.
Thank you so much for your testimony. And last, we have Nick Martinez.
You may begin.
Good afternoon, Chair Maloney and members of the Committee on Economic Development. My name is Nick Martinez, and I serve as the Vice President of Education and Engagement at the Museum of the City of New York. I'm here on behalf of the museum to share a little bit about our plans for engaging New Yorkers during the 2026 World Cup. We are committed to telling the stories of the people, places, and ideas that shape the iconic character of the city, and to serving as a welcoming space for our community. Museums and cultural institutions are economic and cultural engines for cities, and with millions of people anticipated to come to our city for the World Cup, our exhibitions, collections, and programs provide an important entry point for New Yorkers and those visiting to explore the history and art of the city, deepen their appreciation for the cultural diversity that makes New York particularly unique, and understand what makes New York City the greatest city in the world. From our exhibitions to our uptown bounce block parties in collaboration with El Museo and the watch parties that we've hosted on the front terrace of the museum during the 2024 Yankees and Dodgers World Series, we look for meaningful ways to bring New Yorkers together and to celebrate and connect with our history and sometimes commiserate on hard losses. We have submitted a proposal to FIFA and are awaiting approval, just as many are, to serve as an official public viewing site for the World Cup. Our goal is to create a central, community-focused space that is open to all to watch matches together throughout the tournament, celebrating both Team USA and the many nations and communities represented in this city. We are committed to working with local restaurants, small businesses, in support of our World Cup related activities and events, which range from large watch parties to family drop-in days where people can demonstrate their support for their favorite teams. The Museum of the City of New York is committed to being a place that is open and accessible to everyone and looks forward to working with all of you and the mayor's office to make this an impactful period for all New Yorkers and for those visiting our city. Thank you for your time, your support, and your commitment.
Thank you so much for your testimony, and appreciate, after hearing from the Culture and Arts Policy Institute, that the Museum of the City of New York, which is just north of my district, is already thinking about how to engage the community through culture. So thank you. I want to again reiterate thank you to everyone who testified today. This was a very informative hearing and certainly pointed out many aspects of the FIFA World Cup planning that we need to take into consideration in the upcoming weeks. And with that, the hearing is adjourned.